Okay, so we'll be starting. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the day 2 session of this onboarding. For those of you who are joining today for the first time, my name is Jessie Dillon, and I'm the Instructional Design and Training Manager at Valley Mountain Regional Center. Once again, welcome to this onboarding event. Let me briefly share the agenda for today so that we're all on the same page and we are aware of the flow. So just give me a minute while I'm sharing. Okay. So that's the agenda for today. As you can see, we have the first few minutes dedicated to review reactions and comments from yesterday. Feel free to comment in the chat section and let us know what you feel about yesterday's session. Once the event comes to a conclusion, I shall also be sending you a short survey. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and valued as this helps us build and improve upon our future sessions and meetings. I'd just like to mention that we're going to try our best to stick to the flow and time limits. We understand that these are uniquely challenging times and everyone has a busy schedule. So I would need assistance from each one of you in respecting the time and schedule for all so that we do not overshoot our time limits. I would also like to mention that we have about 30 speakers presenting over 2 days. Some presented yesterday, and others would be doing it in today's date. And I'm going to be introducing the panelists and speakers before they're about to present. So in case of any questions that the new hires want to ask of any speaker while they are presenting, they may type in their queries into the chat box. Time permitting, speakers would take up those queries after their presentation. Otherwise, we would forward your questions to them, and you may also feel free to contact them via email with your queries. I would now request Mr. Tony Anderson, our Executive Director, to say a few words, and if he wants to add to the reviews and comments and wrap up from yesterday. Over to you, Tony.
Great. Thank you, Jessie. I want to first start off with thanking everybody for being on. I saw everybody was pretty much on for the entire session, and that's exactly what we want. We want to bring to you our entire organization in a snapshot. We want you to get a sense of who these people are, and then you'll know when those issues come up for you, at least that you can contact that person, and that is the one who will help you with a particular issue. So we want that familiarity for you all, again, no matter what position you work in the organization. And then also, in the chat, we're trying to also explain all of these acronyms as they go, and so sort of please pay attention to those and watch them as they are written out for you, because when people work in this field for many years, and if you heard yesterday, there were some at 30 years and plus, so they like to start shortening these the things that they're working on, because everybody sort of knows the secret code. But if you're new, you're not going to know the secret code as much as some of the others. And also, we want to get in the habit of trying not to do too much of that, especially if we're talking to people in our community or our consumers and our families. So it is easy, though, to get in that habit. And so we're trying to clear that up as we go. So today, I'm really excited about today as well, because we're going to talk about some of the projects that come out of the director's office, and we're going to talk about a lot of the specialties that we have. Regional centers in the Landerman Act, as we mentioned yesterday, there are a lot of areas where each regional center must have some specialty in this area, education and with employment. And employment is a new one that was finally funded, and also housing. We're not going to have too much in there because that's not funded, but we do have things going on there. We also have the cultural specialist is a new program for us, just relatively new, 3-4 years old. So you're going to hear from all these different areas where we try to enhance the experience for our consumers, and it's a resource for all of our service coordinators. And most importantly also is that we have partnerships, very important partnerships throughout our community, and we're going to have some of our key partners present to you today, and so I'm really looking forward to that as well. That is one of the things that we say, is that we are your partner in disability services, developmental disability services, so that we don't claim to do everything, and that we only can get things done for people with developmental disabilities and their families through these partnerships. So again, thank you all for being here. Watch those chats, and we do polls, or you do the Q&As as we move through, and stay as engaged as you possibly can. So thanks again. And Jesse, it's on you now to take us to WOW.
All right.
Gina?
Moving ahead with the agenda, I would now like to introduce the first speaker of the day. Doug, is she there? Margaret Hines. All right, so I would like to introduce the first speaker of the day, Margaret Hines, the board president, and she would be sharing an overview and welcome message with all of us. So, Margaret, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jesse. And nice to meet you.
Same here.
So, hello, my name is Margaret Hines, and welcome to all the new members of the VMRC family. Thank you very much for what you do. It probably seems a little bit overwhelming right now, and I promise it gets easier or more easier to understand as you go. When I first started as a board member, I was overwhelmed by all the amount of information, and I was just a volunteer, so I can only imagine doing it as a job. So just tiny bit about me. Margaret Hines, I am a mother, a grandmother. I'm a special ed teacher. So I am, at this time, it is, you know, special education is very important. And with the COVID and everything going on in our community, it has a high impact. So that is my connection, I guess, to the board, and why I originally started was my job. And I thought, well, there's more that I could do for this. And so I started looking up things in our community, and I'd had a connection to VMRC in the past, and it was just something I was interested in. But I don't want to get into me. I want to talk to you about the board as a whole. So the VMRC Board of Directors exercises general direction, and we establish policies concerning the operation of the regional center. But actually more important, we provide meaningful, and it's very important, the meaningful consumer and public participation in the development of those policies by actively seeking advice from our standing advisory committees and members of the community. So in a nutshell, our job is to listen. It's very important that we hear what people are saying. We invite people to come to our meetings to participate when they can. And we don't have answers for them at the meeting, but it's very important that we do listen. And then send that in the direction where someone can provide the answers. There are 21 members of our board of directors. Currently we have 20, we have one opening. The board is made up of a combination of individuals, consumers, parents or legal guardians, vendor representation, and then other. That would be people like me. I'm a teacher. We have a school superintendent. We have an early childhood administrator on our board. We have a very diverse, I consider it a very diverse and well-rounded board, which is something I'm very proud of. Well, our board represents San Joaquin County, Stanislaus County, Amador County, Calaveras County, and Tuolumne County. So we are broad in spectrum, so a lot of areas. The board members all, and I talk fast, so I apologize for that. Sorry, I know I do. All board members are asked to be a part of committees, and we have a consumer services committee, a legislative committee, finance committee, executive committee, bylaws committee, nominating committee, and a special events committee. So the board, besides attending the board meetings and participating in that way, all board members are asked to be a part of the different committees so that they can gain expertise in other areas. And then they bring that knowledge to the board meetings, and there are chairmen of all of those committees. And it just kind of shares the knowledge and helps us make better choices in establishing policies and direction. We also have advisory committees from our community class, the Coalition of Local Area Service Providers, and SAC6, which they're kind of amazing. The Self-Advisory Committee for Area 6 also. So I know I talk fast, I know I toss out a lot of information, but we are here for you. Okay, it is our job. We are not making any cut and dry decisions. Our job is to guide policy and making sure that we're hearing what the people are saying. So if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, that's it.
I have one question. Who's the best executive director you've ever been
Oh man,
managing?
that's a tough one. Darn. Yeah, probably for sure Tony. I mean, Tony and Doug are used to me bugging them. I mean, thank God they answer my text messages because I have more questions than anybody. The VMRC staff is incredibly inclusive of their board. So they enable us to make better choices and decisions. So yeah, we can't do it. It's a team. It is truly a team. That's it. Yes, Tony, you're the best of the best. No, yeah, that would be you. Yeah.
Looks like.
Margaret, we do have.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Doug.
Go ahead.
You got it.
No, go ahead, Kristen. Go ahead, Kristen.
Okay, so we do have one question in the chat box, Margaret. I don't know if it's for you or Tony, but how long has VMRC been in the Stockton location?
Well, actually,
Well, I mean, I can answer a lot of time. 25 years that I know of, but it's more than that. Tony, go ahead.
actually, I don't know when we moved to this exact Stockton location. We've been in Stockton since 1974.
This location was 2003 or 2004 when I started.
See, there you go. One of
When
the,
we moved here? Been here a long time.
no retirements.
No,
So there are your answers. That's a long time.
it is. Well, thank you for having me. I do appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions later, please let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to get back to my special day class.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Margaret.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Margaret. And for everybody who's attending today's event, we still have some time for reactions and reviews and comments from yesterday. So the next 5 minutes or so, we're going to be dedicating purely to the reactions and comments. Feel free to put in your comments into the chat section. We just want to know how the event was. Did you like it? Any suggestions? So feel free to put comments into the chat box. And that's for everybody, whether it's the panelists, whether it's the new hires. And let me tell you, if we don't see any comments, probably we're going to get the impression we were too good, that there's nothing we need to improve upon. So please do put in those comments and suggestions. Do we have any more new hires who joined in today? If there are people who joined in today, because I remember once we wrapped up the event for yesterday, session one, day one. So I had a few people who had sent in emails that they were not able to join in, or probably they wanted to join in today. So are those people, if you're there, please put in those comments, because this is a platform wherein we could utilize time to introduce you and just try to know, if you missed out on something, if there's something we need to add here, if those people are there, because I'm not seeing anything coming in on the chat box. So I see something from Ray. I have Tony Anderson putting in his comments, and then there's Christine. Okay, so we have one from Logan. It says, great to get a little more of an idea of who everyone is and how the departments interact. So truly feels like a big family work environment. Tony, would you like to respond to that? There's a comment from Logan.
Yeah, that's not a thing. You can't have too many Dodger fans. Great to get a little more of an idea of who everyone is. Oh, I see what you're saying. Too many Dodger fans, though? Ha! We're going to have more now. We have a big bandwagon out in the back.
Okay, and we have another one that's kind of appreciation. It was great to get those acronyms explained. Yes, and I would say I needed some of the explanations myself. I've been here for 3 years, and when people were sharing their experiences, and they're from say Southern California or some other state, I was honestly feeling like an alien because I'm from another country, another continent, another part of the world altogether. And when I saw people sharing, where they're from, their backgrounds, that's when I really felt comfortable. I know California is a diverse state, and VMRC represents diversity at the best. So somebody from another country with a different accent who looks different from a different part of the globe. And if I could make it to this position in 3 years, I think I really appreciate Valley Mountain Regional Center for appreciating and imbibing diversity at the best, for that matter. Okay, so we have here, okay, so there's somebody for Giants. All right, I have Dana. Thanks for sharing that, Jesse. I love your accent. It's different. Are you able to understand? Just a question. Are you able to understand my accent? Because it's very different from the usual American accent. Okay, I can see people commenting now in the chat box. And I'm from India originally. If there are any questions you want to ask on diversity, somebody just asked, if people could share, their positions, what they do here. I mean, I can answer for myself. If you have any question for any of the panelists or anybody else, even Tony for that matter, please put it here in the chat section, and we would be more than happy to answer those. Okay. I'm impressed by all the compliments that are appearing here. Okay, so somebody—
You do have a question, Jesse. What's your educational background?
Okay, so my educational background, it spans over more than 25 years. And presently I'm working with Valley Mountain Regional Center as the training manager. I also work as a professor of psychology with California Community College. My background is in psychology and education. My research is in the field of human motivation. I have a double master's and a double bachelor's degree in psychology and education. And I also have a postgraduate diploma in guidance and counseling. So I have a wide spectrum. I've changed more schools than classes. And if you try to just count the numbers of credits that I have almost about 262 credits of education, under my belt. So that's it. Okay.
That's it. That's a lot.
So we have another question, Jesse. Are the slides from yesterday and today going to be made available to folks? They really enjoyed the infographic on what does a service coordinator do?
Okay, absolutely. So all the presentations that are there, we're going to be saving it on the drives. And if you want something, specifically sent to you, feel free to email me. And as we mentioned yesterday too, feel free to email the people who presented, and everybody at Valley Mountain Regional Center is very, very approachable, very helpful. And in case you want it through them, let them know. But if you want me to share it with you, please let me know. Otherwise, we're going to have all the PPTs and all shared on one of the drives. So it's going to be accessible to all of you. So I hope you answered your question. That was Benjamin. Okay, yeah, I see here Christine sent an email to jdillon@vmrc.net, and she will forward the slides to you. Yes, I would do that. Okay. Any more questions or any more? Okay. So I'm just looking at the chat box. Okay. All right.
Noelle did express that it was that she's learning a lot about our agency and the services that we provide. She thought it was great to see and meet everybody, especially working from home this whole time. She hasn't had a lot of opportunities to see people in person.
Yeah, these are uniquely challenging times. And in fact, when even I joined in my present position, I never sat in my office even for a day. I've always been working from home. I would have loved to meet everybody in person myself, and I'm sure each one of us is on the same page. But the thing is, I mean, one has to be careful about the safety, and our health. There are health concerns. So people are coming into the office, but majority of them are not. And personally, I would say I have a very, my immune system is not that strong. In fact, today itself, I'm having my allergies, so I'm not as much there because I'm under the influence of cetirizine for that matters. And you can see that in my eyes. So yeah, definitely we would have loved to meet each other in person. In fact, this onboarding event, we would have loved to have everybody there, because the interaction you have when you are having eye contact and you're looking at each other, of course, it's much more cohesive, and we build up much more camaraderie that way. But then this is the best option that we could do. And this is something which was suggested by Tony Anderson. In fact, he's the man behind this event for that matter. So when he said, let's have something like this, I said, yes, let's go for it. And I want to thank all the speakers and the panelists, because everybody, without your support, probably this event would not have been possible. So we really appreciate all the support, all the help from everybody from the different departments. Okay, do we have any more questions? There's a message here that I'm seeing in chat. Okay, GTL, gym, tan, laundry, still relevant. All right. Okay. All right. So I think it's time for us to move to the next speaker, because I don't see any more questions, any more comments coming in. So if everybody's okay with that, we're going to move to the next speaker. So the next speaker that we have is none other than our very own Zoom expert. And if I may take the liberty to say, our Man Friday for this event, Doug Barnett, assistant to the director. Doug shall be talking about the board administration and communications. So over to you, Doug.
Thank you, Jesse. Zoom expert, no. I'm learning like everybody else is right away, but thank you for the kind words. So real quick, I'm Doug Bonet. Many of you have probably seen me on Zooms or gotten emails from me. My official title is Special Assistant to the Executive Director. So I assist Tony and the senior management team in a lot of different things that they do, like an event like this or the many events that Tony likes to do. I help them out with a lot of that stuff. But I have a couple other duties, and two of the things that I'm going to explain to you guys today what I do. Number one, I work very closely with our board of directors, and you guys just heard from Margaret Hines, our board president. So I'm going to spend a few minutes talking a little bit more about our board of directors. And then I also manage the communications, the internal and external communications for the agency. So, I help out with our website and our newsletters and our social media accounts and things like that. So I'll be talking to you guys over the next 10 minutes. Hopefully I don't confuse anybody or talk too fast, but I'll be talking to you about what we do in those aspects. Every regional center, all 21 regional centers are private nonprofit organizations, and they're all they are all kind of overseen by a board of directors. And who you heard from first was Margaret Hines, and she's the president of our board of directors at Valley Mountain Regional Center. And what I'm going to do now is share my screen and kind of just hit on a few things about our board of directors and what do they do. Our board of directors is, right now we have 20 board members, and they're volunteer board members. Many of them are parents of consumers of Valley Mountain Regional Center, or consumers themselves of Valley Mountain Regional Center that live in the 5 counties that we serve. And the goal of the board really is to kind of really just determine the mission, the purpose, guide, like Margaret said, guide the regional center in their operations. They're the ones that hire our executive director and support our executive director. So they work very closely with Tony and myself in kind of big picture guidance and support and organizational planning and things like that. Margaret and her board, they're not going to be reviewing IPPs or, looking at time cards, doing operational stuff. That's what the staff and the management, senior managers and service coordinators are for. They're more a big picture, kind of oversee everything. Our board of directors meets formally every other month. So typically we meet on the third Monday of every other month, and they're public meetings. Typically they're at the regional center and anybody can attend. Obviously we have to do it via a video conference now, but they're public meetings where they'll review different policies, different changes, or vote on different things that the regional center wants to put in place. So oftentimes staff will bring stuff to the board and say, hey, this is what we're looking to do. This is what we want to do. Is this okay? Do you guys support us in doing this? And they'll vote on things like that. So I would encourage everybody to check out our website, and I'm going to share that right now for our board of directors. If you're free in the evening to attend a board meeting and kind of see how that process works, if I'm on our main website now, so if you click on our board of directors link, you can see the list of all of our board of directors and officers. So there you see Margaret, who just spoke, and she's the president. And you can see on down the line, we don't have pictures of everybody up, but most people. So you can see all our different board members that we have on our board. And like I said, we're very proud of our board. We do feel like it really represents all 5 counties that we serve. We try to have our board really be representative of the people that we serve, and so different ethnic backgrounds, different educational backgrounds, different expertise in different developmental services fields. So you guys can take a look at that. And like I said, we're very proud of our board and the work they do. And it's fun working with them. They're a good time to work with. So they also serve on different committees. So they don't just meet at the board board of directors meetings every other month. There's also a variety of committees that they make up. So we have an executive committee, we have a finance committee, we have a consumer services committee, and these are different committees that are kind of subcommittees of the board that delve in and look at different things monthly. For instance, like our finance committee votes on our contracts that we put forth for many of our vendors. They'll get a presentation from Claudia, who you heard from yesterday, who's our chief financial officer, about the financials of the regional center. We have a consumer services committee that some of the board members are on, and they kind of look at the different service standards that the regional center has, and in regards to that, and they'll vote on things like that. So it's a volunteer position, and we ask a lot of them. So we're very appreciative of everything that our board does. And like I said, if you have any questions, it's just 5 minutes to talk about our board isn't enough, but feel free to reach out and I can explain more about our board of directors, what else they do. If you want to come to a meeting or you want to see an agenda or see what they vote on, feel free to reach out to me. So now I'll switch gears and I'll talk about communication. So at the regional center, it's very important, we feel, to properly communicate our message and what's going on to not only our staff, but also the community. So we're very active and very diverse in the way that we communicate our message, our events, whatever we want. We want to be very transparent in everything that we do. We're, publicly funded through taxpayer dollars. So we feel it's important to be very transparent and communicate well with everybody who we serve and everybody in our community. So how do we do that? We do it many different ways. You saw me share our website about little less than 2 years ago, we had a major overhaul of our website. We felt like it could have been a lot better. And so we're working to make that better and to use that to communicate our message to our families and to our vendors and to the people that we serve. So that's a main way that we communicate. We realize that not everybody that we serve or everybody who's a stakeholder goes to our website. So one of the other things, a couple of the other ways that we communicate, and you guys have probably seen our health advisories. Can you see the health advisory? Did that pop up just now? Okay. So we also send out a weekly, kind of a weekly newsletter. We call it we've been calling it the health advisory because it's really been related to everything that's going on with coronavirus and COVID-19. But this goes out to about 1,000 people every Friday morning. So staff members, families, vendors, anybody that signs up for our email list will get this weekly health advisory that our senior managers and department heads and community partners do a great job communicating their message to. So we feel it's very important for us to get that message out. We also put it out in Spanish. So a few days after our English version goes out, a Spanish version will go out because we serve a lot of folks that are monolingual and Spanish speaking only, and we feel it's our duty to communicate to them as best we can in a way that they would understand what we're trying to say. So the health advisory, the website, we're very active on social media. So up here now is our Facebook page. We share a lot of information. A lot of people get their information from Facebook and social media. So we share a lot of information on Facebook. We're very active on Twitter. We have our own Twitter account. We share a lot of information on Twitter. We also have a YouTube page that if you're not subscribed to, I encourage you to take a look at it. YouTube's really taken off in this year because we're doing a lot of video conferencing, and so we're able to record a lot and share a lot on YouTube. So we use that as a way to communicate. We have an Instagram account. Some people, a lot of the younger folks might get a lot of information from Instagram. So we try and be active on Instagram as well. Excuse me. And then we also have a LinkedIn account that I'll let Enos, our employment specialist, probably hit on in his presentation. But that's a quick run through about some of the things that I do and as it relates to our board of directors and the way we communicate. If anybody has any questions in the next minute or two, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And then also feel free to reach out to me anytime, email, give me a call, come by my office when we're all back at the office. But thanks for having me, and I'll be on the call the rest of the day, but any questions I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Doug. So the next expert that we have is someone with years of experience and wisdom behind her, none other than Christine Couch, the compliance manager at Valley Mountain Regional Center. Over to Christine.
Thanks, Jesse. So the years of experience just aged me, and that's okay. So I actually started 30 years ago at Stockton Developmental Center, and that's where I met Nicole, who talked to us yesterday. And when the developmental center closed, Nicole was my connection to Valley Mountain Regional Center, and her and Patricia Green, who's one of the program managers for quality assurance, hired me to join their team as a service coordinator. So that was 26 years ago when I first worked for VMRC. So pretty cool that I've got to do the full circle. So I've worked as an independent consultant managing DDS wellness grants between VMRC and mental health. I've worked for vendors, and now I'm back here to wrap up my career and follow in all the retirees' footsteps, hopefully in another few years. So I serve as your compliance manager. And what that means is What does your agenda say? It says that we meet organizational compliance, protect the rights of the folks we serve, and ensure a fair appeal process for all. So that's really true. I feel like my primary duty is to serve the individuals we serve and their families. And I try to do that while supporting each and every one of you. The fair hearing process is probably the thing that takes up most of the time and is the opportunity that I have to interact with most of you. The individual program plan starts with each of you in case management, and when you can't make a decision with the family or the consumer, there's no agreement on a decision for a service or a support, then I get invited to participate and support you in helping you develop a notice of action. It's often referred to as a NOAA or NOPA. That piece of paper, the notice of action, creates the beginning of our fair hearing process. So through that interaction with you, I will look one more time for a way to provide the service or support as it's written into the Lanterman Act. Because sometimes it's easy for the team to miss something. And I feel like I get that opportunity to just look one more time at exceptions that are written into the Lanterman Act that we might not notice. So I'll give you the language, we'll get that notice of action out to folks, and then people have an opportunity to meet with the regional center in an informal meeting to try and negotiate or compromise or find a way to support them with what they need. Sometimes it works and that's exciting, and sometimes it doesn't. So we may go to mediation, where the Office of Administrative Hearings will send an ALJ, which is an administrative law judge. So that's an impartial third party that listens to both of us, Regional Center and the consumer and their family, about what they want, why they want it, and why we think we can't provide it. And sometimes we come to a decision there where we're able to help people, and sometimes not. And that's okay. If we don't come to a decision and we end up in a state level fair hearing, no fears, no worries, don't be anxious, don't be nervous. It's okay. I think those state level fair hearings are a great way for us to learn, especially if we lose, right? So I'm momentarily bummed out that we lost, but I'm also really excited because now I've learned a new way to implement pieces of the Lanterman Act to help serve and support the folks that we serve. And by me getting the opportunity to learn, I can support you just a little bit better. So it's okay, don't worry. What else? I get to support you with other things as well. So if you have questions about advanced healthcare directives or conservatorships, special ed, whatever clients' rights questions you have, I often am called upon to help problem solve and brainstorm. And if it's not something that I have the expertise to answer, I will look to Matthew Barr, who is our consulting attorney. So I work very closely with Matthew. And sometimes we'll just decide that that is a great client's rights issue that we think should be sent over to the Office of Clients' Rights Advocacy. And we're going to hear from them when we hear from the community partners. I was trying to find them on the agenda, but I missed it. So that's exciting. We have a collaborative relationship with them. Their goal is to protect clients' rights, as our goal is too. The other exciting thing that our regional center does that other regional centers may not have to offer is immigration services. So I know that we heard yesterday that immigration status impacts people. And so if you're serving someone on your caseload and they or their caregivers have some immigration advocacy issues, who knows what they are, let me know, because I think there might be a way that we can at least get them a consultation with an immigration attorney who can then advise them on their immigration journey and let them know what resources are available or not available. The other not so exciting thing that I get to do is listen to complaints. And I know that each of you do an amazing job. You work so hard and you're so valued to this community, but sometimes we just don't make people happy. And when they're not happy, they like to complain. So there are a variety of ways people complain. They can complain through a whistleblower complaint, which means the regional center or a vendor did an improper activity. So something that we have done or one of our vendors have done is not in compliance with the law. It's improper. And that's okay. There's just another learning opportunity, right? So if we investigate that complaint and find out that it's true, that's okay. We're human, we make mistakes, but we get to learn. So I try to find the good in the complaints if that's possible. There's also a consumer rights complaint process, which is the 4731. You might have heard that, 4731. That is actually the section in the Lanterman Act that talks about consumer rights complaints. There's also citizens complaints, and then community services, which Brian and Robert, well, Brian didn't talk yesterday, but Robert did. They work on the community services complaints, appeals, alerts, and then I provide support to them however it would best be needed. Early Start has their own complaint process as well, and I know some of you identified yesterday when you were introducing yourselves that you're on the Early Start team, so you have your own separate complaint process that I can help you with. Doug talked about transparency. I dropped the link to our transparency page in the chat box. Transparency is super important, just like Doug said, and so we put a lot of stuff out on that website. We keep it updated, and I do my very best at monitoring the regulations and what we are required to post, public meetings we're required to host, and data we're required to send into the department. So there's a lot going on with transparency. The other thing that is probably the least exciting thing that I do is manage MOUs, which are Memorandum of Understanding. So those are agency agreements between us and another community-based organization, maybe a school district, maybe Office of Clients' Rights, the CELPAs, that talk about how we're going to work together, which is always cooperatively and collaboratively, because we all want to do the same thing, right? We want to serve people and protect their clients' rights. It's 9:48, so I have 2 minutes left to answer your questions. Any questions?
Do we have any questions for Christine?
I don't see any in the chat box.
Okay, so there is one. What's your educational background as background?
Well, so I got a bachelor's degree in sociology, and then I went on and got a master's degree in counseling psychology because I thought that I was going to sit in an office and talk to people and help them solve their problems. So when I did my externship and had to start doing my hours for licensure, yeah, not so fun. Like, I didn't have a good time listening to people week after week say they were still experiencing the same challenges. I was like, it's broken, don't do it again, fix it. So that didn't work for me. So I found social work at Stockton Developmental Center and realized that this amazing community of people with disabilities was much bigger than my small family. I have a cousin, well, she's passed away now, but at that time, my cousin had Down syndrome. And like Tony had mentioned yesterday, some parents were told many, many years ago, like, your child's not going to accomplish anything. They're not going to do anything. You should send them away. Well, my great aunt didn't send my cousin away, but instead they remodeled the basement and she lived in the basement until I was about, I don't know, I think 16 or 17. And then I started sneaking her out. So, you know, it's true. That stuff happens. It's real life. And so the developmental center was a good place for me to learn that there are lots of people in the community with disabilities. And So folks, just continue to educate me. I learn every day. This job is a great learning opportunity. And you're going to hear from the Self-Advocacy Council 6 later. They're one of my biggest teachers and mentors. They teach me and train me every day in how to be a better person and how to serve this community in a better way.
Okay, I don't see any more questions. So thank you very much, Christine. And that was very informative. Thank you once again for taking out the time. So as we're aware that California is a diverse state. And yes, I did mention that we see diversity celebrated and imbibed at its best at Valley Mountain Regional Center. And culture is one dimension of diversity. So the next speaker of the day is none other than Gabby Lopez, the cultural specialist at Valley Mountain Regional Center. So over to Gabby Lopez.
Thank you, Jessie. I'm gonna share, here it is. Let me know if you guys can see it. Yeah, okay. So good morning. My name is Gabriela Lopez, and I'm putting my timer next to me. My name is Gabriela Lopez. I am the cultural specialist, and like a lot of you guys, I'm new in this position. I've been in this position for 8 months. Prior to that, I was a service coordinator for 6 years, and I was working out of the Modesto office in the children's unit. And so, I wish I could meet all of you guys, but just, when I started, everything happened. And so we started working from home. So, but hopefully, soon we can all meet in person. So the cultural specialist, with the cultural specialist, this is a position that the state mandated, and the cultural specialist position was put in place in order to try to address the disparities within the regional centers. And every regional center, all 21 regional centers have a cultural specialist. What is the role of the cultural specialist? Well, I'm just gonna, there is a lot of things, and just like you guys, I'm still learning every day. But some of the things that as a cultural specialist, how do we do the outreach? I know when I came in, everything kind of was shut down. So it's been, transitioning everything to Zoom meetings. So the role of the cultural specialist is to implement community outreach. The way we've been doing this, or I've been doing this, is I've been interacting with parent groups through Zoom with different organizations out there in our community to try to bring training for our parents and also training for service coordinators. I know we had one on IHSS, and hopefully we're working on trying to bring more trainings. Also, it is, as a cultural specialist, we try to find ways to help the underserved families of different ethnic groups in our regional center, support staff and parents with the IPP meetings, the IEP meetings. So sometimes I will get a call, and I would, going to be asked by a service coordinator or a parent, can you attend an IPP meeting or an IEP meeting? I'm more than happy to attend those meetings with you, help you guys. I know for IEPs, I usually do ask the parent to first, communicate with the SE, and if they still want me to attend the IEP meeting, I'm more than happy to help you guys with that too. I know I've been contacted by program managers before. If the SE is Spanish speaking and it's not able to attend the IEP, then they'll say, Gabby, they want somebody to speak Spanish, then, I'll attend if my schedule allows it. Support and increase cultural competency. And with the cultural specialist, the regional center, currently we have some projects going on. One of the projects that we have is the cultural linguistic competency. And this project, I did attend a big, training we had in October, but then I started with the committee after I got the position. And with this committee, we're trying to find out what are the, services maybe some of our families are not accessing. We're trying to find ways to help them find answers of why is it that they maybe, they don't want this service. Maybe we're trying to find out, okay, what is it that they need? We know with a lot of families, from different ethnic groups, like Hispanics, we have a totally different way of thinking. And so, so working with the families, working to try to find out how can we help them access the regional services. And also one of the things we're doing is we're going to work internally with our staff. So pretty soon you guys will be hearing a lot of great things. We're trying to put together groups where we can involve all our staff. And so hopefully soon you guys get all those invitations and announcements. And I really encourage you guys to, participate. I think it's really important to hear from all the service coordinators. We want to hear what you guys think. How can we help our underserved families? And, we all have different backgrounds in the regional center. So knowing, your input, hearing from you guys, it's going to be very helpful for us. Part of that also with the culture specialist, we have a disparity fund. And one of those things is we're trying, and one of the things we're going to put together is develop a bilingual glossary book, handbook, that we're hoping it's going to help the families. And with that, I am, since you guys are right now in the meeting, I am going to need service coordinators to join our committee. And part of this committee will be develop a handbook that we can have it in different languages. We are going to start with Spanish first, and maybe some of the glossary handbook that is going to have its vocabulary that maybe families will find helpful when they come to the regional center. They don't know what an IPP is. They don't know what an IFSP is. And so what we want to do is put all those vocabularies that might be, new for them and put it together. So whenever they come to the regional center, they have a better idea of what we're doing, what everything means. We're finding out that a lot of times they won't access some of the services because they don't understand what the things are. They don't understand the vocabulary. And so it's very important that we can help the families. And so I really encourage you guys to if you guys can, join the meeting. And with that, join the committee. And with that, we're also going to do a support committee. And that support group is to help each other. Sometimes we have a service coordinator who might not speak Spanish and the translator's not there. So how can we help each other during those meetings? I know as a service coordinator, when I was in my team and maybe they couldn't find a translator right away, it was nice to be able to help my team. So, we have a lot of plans and a lot of things that we want to put out there. Also, before I forget, I do get sometimes emails from other staff who ask, hey, can you translate this? Because it's urgent, we need it now. I'm more than happy to help with that too. And also we help with continuing and supporting our parent groups. So currently we have a couple parent groups out there in our community. So sometimes I'll get emails from other SCs asking, hey, this parent really needs support. They want to join a group. If you email me, I can send you a list of different parent groups that we have locally. Some of these groups are really good because they have trainings going on. One of the groups that we are involved with a lot is Families First. And that group, it's been really good with putting trainings out there. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys get my emails, but I send out flyers with Zoom trainings that are happening around our area, our community. The good thing about Zoom right now is that we've been able to access different groups that might be, in Northern California, Southern California, but we can still share with the families, and it's a really good resource for them. We are also, before I forget, one of the things that I've been doing together with some of the staff in the regional center is due to, COVID-19, we are helping families with food distribution. So if you guys have any family who might be struggling currently with getting, groceries, please email. You can email your supervisor the name, and then they'll email it to Cindy Mix, or you can email it to me, the information, so we can put them in the list. We are still doing that once a month, and it's usually the third Saturday of every month. And our numbers, usually I was getting about 60 families. Now it's gone down. I mean, it's good, that we have families out there that maybe are not struggling so much. But if you guys know of any family, please go ahead and forward them to me so we can see how we can help them. And you guys can reach me. This is my email, glopez@VMRC. My phone number 955-3380. And I know that was a short presentation, but does anybody have any questions?
Thank you very much, Gabby. I do not think we have time to take questions directly right now. In case there are any questions that pop up in the chat box, we would be forwarding the same to you. Thank you very much, Gabby.
Thank you.
The next speaker of the day plays a very significant role in making sure people are optimally helped to be independent by getting employed. Please welcome Enos Edmondson, employment specialist, and he would be speaking about what we do to get jobs for people with developmental disabilities. Over to you, Enos.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You can't.
My name is Enos Edmondson Jr. I'm the employment specialist for Valley Mountain Regional Center, your partner for disability services and supports. Doug mentioned earlier about VMRC being on various different social media platforms. I do want you guys to follow the LinkedIn page. LinkedIn is everything that's related to employment. I share hiring events, job fairs. I share our community partners information, Stockton Chamber information, and then I also do success stories. So for LinkedIn, that will be a great resource for where you can get everything that's pertaining to employment. So thank you very much for having me here today. I wanted to give you an update on my background and my experience. I graduated from Fresno State, go Bulldogs. I started working as a recruiter for a staffing company. I transitioned from that position and I was a job developer for one of our vocational day programs here in Stockton, California. I helped find contract work sites for individuals with disabilities. We had work groups all over Stockton and the city of Lodi. It was like move jobs, civic auditorium, city manager's office, various positions all throughout Stockton. And then of course I came here to VMRC. I started off just like everyone else as a service coordinator. I was on the adult unit and I worked under Angie and Aaron's team. And currently I'm the employment specialist, which is the reason why I'm presenting to you guys here today. So competitive integrated employment, CIE. What is competitive integrated employment? Competitive integrated employment is full-time or part-time work, including self-employment, for which an individual earns a competitive wage and receives the same wages and benefits paid to others who do similar work with similar skills and experience. So basically what this is stating is that if a company starts off their salary at $15 an hour, when our individuals apply for that same company and work for that same company, they will receive $15 an hour. We've moved past the days of alternative pay for our individuals. Our individuals will earn a competitive pay. Obviously, the workplace will have to be in an integrated environment. They'll have to be working side by side with individuals without disabilities and in the community. So I'm pretty sure a lot of the new staff, you guys are familiar with person-centered planning. That's one of the things that we've been training on. So the way that I incorporate person-centered planning with employment is I like to ask people what their dream job is. It's very important to start discussing that with your consumers during your IDTs, your IEPs, your IPP meetings. By the age of 14, there should be an employment objective in the IEP, and through person-centered planning, you should start beginning that planning process for helping your individuals achieve their employment goals. The person-centered planning, the IEP, the person-centered planning should help determine the optimal route to achieving desired employment goals. So obviously once a person, when they finish with high school, just like everyone else, you can have post-secondary education. Do you want to go to a junior college, a four-year school? And then things that are unique for our individuals are we offer day programs, vocational day programs, supported employment programs. The other options are technical and vocational schools, and these are companies like Volt and UEI. They do skilled trades. These are things that don't happen very often, but they're definitely an option for our individuals. So I've talked a lot about person-centered planning, employment, and incorporating that into the IPP. So on the cover sheet, really quickly, the objective, if a person is finished with high school and they're done and they're ready to go into employment, if you look at number 7 down there, employment CIE, this means this individual is probably going to do a Department of Rehabilitation referral. They're going to go directly into employment and start looking to work in the community.
Inas, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the slides aren't moving ahead. So
they're not?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah, we just on the first slide.
Are you really?
Yeah, no, we're not able to see them moving ahead. So it's frozen on the first slide.
I don't know how to, is it not sharing my screen anymore?
It's showing the screen, but the slides aren't moving ahead. Is it okay if Doug shares your slideshow? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you share it, Doug?
Doug, can you do that, please?
Yes. 1 sec.
I'm glad this is being recorded.
Let me find EJ's. All right. What slide are you on, EJ?
Start the slideshow.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Continue. What is your dream job? There we go. Continually. All right, and we are back. Okay, hopefully you guys can edit that out. Click to the next slide. So, incorporating the employment objective. So on the cover sheet, like I said, if a person is finished with high school, they're ready to go, they don't want to do day programs, they want to go directly into work, it would be option number 7 there, employment CIE. If a person is thinking they need a little more help, more skills, then it would be number 8. It would be supported employment. So they would go to a day program, a vocational day program. And then number 9 is employment through the paid internship program. This is very similar to CIE. It's just that in order to help them achieve individual placement, they need to build some experience through the paid internship program. Doug, if you can do the next slide. So inside of the IPP, it's important to get competitive integrated employment if that's the individual's option. In the paragraph in the IPP, it should just state that wherever that person is working is their ideal job. So if a person wanted to work in the restaurant industry, that was their dream job, and they're working for Chili's, then you help them achieve their desired CIE outcome, their dream job. Next slide, Doug. Also in the IPP is for the paid internship. It's very similar to CIE. The only difference is you're stating that a person didn't have a lot of work skills, little to no work skills. And in order for them to achieve their goal, their CIE, they work through a paid internship program with the hope to be hired through Chili's or whoever to work for that restaurant. Next slide. Then job coaching. Obviously, if an individual is working individually, you have to click it a couple of times. If a person is working out in the community on their own, VMRC, we do provide job coaching, one-to-one job coaching for VMRC consumers. Click it again. So the benefit of job coaches for our individuals is a really helpful. It's a one-to-one support staff. They shadow the individuals while they're on the job. They're able to supervise, provide prompts, and they're also able to follow up with you, with the consumer, with the company, and just provide that, that valuable feedback that help the individual maintain the CIE outcome. And our job coaching is initially funded through the Department of Rehabilitation. That is our generic resource. So at any time, if a person starts to mention employment, if that is a possibility, you're going to want to get that DOR referral packet either to that individual, filled out and completed. The Department of Rehabilitation, they're a separate state agency, and they do take a little bit longer, sometimes 6 to 9 months, depending on which county you're in. So at this time, that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for allowing me to present to you guys today. Sorry for the technical difficulties that happens. And any questions, I guess we'll take them now. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Inas Edmondson? All right, we do not see any questions here, Inas. Thank you very much for taking out the time to be here with us. Thank you. So the next expert speaker of the day is someone who has been with VMRC for a long, long time. Someone who has answers to almost all of my queries, at least. Please welcome Wilma Murray, Community Services Manager and Transportation in Charge at Valley Mountain Regional Center. Over to you, Wilma.
Oh, thank you, Jesse. That was very nice of you to say. Hi, everybody. I'm Wilma, and I'm your mystery guest of the day. I don't think I'm even on your agenda, but I managed to, get my way into the agenda because I got to put my plug in for transportation. I do oversee employment and transportation. EJ just gave you a great rundown on the employment end. He is our man on the go, man on the street, developing resources. I'm more the behind the scenes, making sure our vendors are on board with what we're doing, job coach ops are in place, and kind of the day-to-day detail of that. And then he gets to go find the jobs and just put people in place. So we make a good team. You have questions on employment, you can hit either of us, but he's your main guy. I'm here mostly to let you know I am your contact for transportation. I handle the transportation for all 5 counties. So whether it's contract transportation you need, or bus tickets, or out of area transports. I know we have some folks that are from early starting kids that are new. You don't deal with me that often unless you're having to do a referral for an evaluation and early start, and we need to do transportation, or you have a family that needs out of area and it's not covered by insurance, or they don't have another means to get there. So you and I would be talking a lot. Most of the work we do is with the adults with needing to get to day program. So for you all, I'm not going to go in a lot of detail because I didn't really have a presentation, but please keep in mind as you're working on your IPPs and working with your consumers, we still have the mandate that we need to be looking at the closest program that can meet a need in the most cost-effective manner. That's your challenge when you're trying to do person-centered planning as well. But it is very hard to work with a family that's in Ripon that has decided to go to Lodi because the service coordinator did not explain our process. And then I get the fun job of having to explain why it's picking up your family member at 6 or 6:30 for a 9 o'clock start time, and why they're on the bus for so long. So please keep that in mind. If you have a lot of questions about it, please ask me. Everything does come through me. What you'll learn while you're being trained is there is a transportation service request form. It's called the TSR, and it's on the P drive, a little bit buried, but you'll get a lot of help finding it. Your requests for starts, for terminations, for changes need to come through me on that. I've funneled that to our different transportation providers, contract transportation people, to get folks started or changed. So that's the form you use. Please make sure when you're filling it out, I'm putting this plug in for our bus folks, because if you have things about your consumers that are little characteristics we should know about, then please add that on there. There's a section for you to put characteristics, and we're not talking clinical stuff so much as it's really nice to know. My 2 favorite stories are the consumer who was fascinated by women with long hair, and we put that person behind the driver on their first day, and that driver had a real fun time trying to drive a bus while their hair was being pulled. Or the person who's a runner. I remember that phone call with, well, everybody's going to be late to program because the bus is chasing little Wilma down the street because she took off while we were unloading somebody. So things like that are really helpful for me to know. Please feel free, call me, email me anytime. I am currently one of the few that's in the office all the time now, but even under normal, any questions you have, I know the transportation in all 5 of our counties. I have the resources for you. So Wilma Murray, and my extension is 3244. Anytime, please. Transportation is a lot. You all will have a lot on your plates, so feel free always to just call, ask me questions. What's the resource? What kind of bus pass should I get? I can help you with route planning, all sorts of things. So I've been doing this for a long time, so more than happy to help. And those of you in Stockton, know you are not seeing double. My voice, my name, you see me in the mailroom and up front. I also have the mailroom and the reception area under my guys. So until we get more receptionists able to come back, you're seeing me. It's not my twin that's out there. So if you want to blame somebody, you can blame me, or you have mail problems or phone issues, you can please come see me too. Okay? So thank you for a few minutes of your time. And those folks that I squeezed out of time there, thank you for accommodating me. All right? Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you very much, Wilma. Do we have any questions for Wilma Murray? Okay, I do not see any questions here, so appreciate, Wilma, all the information that you shared. And now comes the time to share the third question for the Starbucks Lucky Draw. The instructions had been sent to you, and we floated 2 questions yesterday, and we have 1 more coming up. So just to briefly refresh everybody's memory, the question would appear in the chat, and you would need to answer in the chat itself on Zoom here within 5 minutes. So responses should not be more than 5 words long. And here comes the third question posted by Doug Bonnet. So you have 5 minutes, not about 5 minutes, 5 minutes to respond to that. So if you answer within that time frame, we're going to put your name in the pool for people, from where we're going to be drawing the names for the lucky draw. And just for your information, the winners are going to be announced within the next 10 days, because we would need some time. We would pull up all the chat and then put all the names, in the pool, and then have the lucky draw. So just for your information, till now, we floated 3 questions, and for each one, you would be considered for $20 of a gift card for Starbucks. It all depends on whether you're punching in your answers within those 5 minutes to the question. And just for your information, everybody who's present today, who's attending this Zoom webinar, is eligible to participate. And that includes me too. So I'm going to just quickly punch in my response before I request the next speaker. So I just need a second to do that. All right, so meanwhile, let me introduce the next speaker of the day. That's Olivia Held, the education specialist. And Olivia would be sharing information on her role and how she can be assisted by her. And I just wanted to mention Olivia and myself, we were on the same team with Marianne. And Olivia joined a little bit after me, and then she moved to the department where she's education specialist now, and then I moved to HR. So over to you, Olivia.
Sorry, my computer was freezing for a second there. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let's see. Okay, can someone confirm that you guys can see that? Perfect. All right, so I'm Olivia Held. I'm the education specialist here at VMRC. Let's see if I can get this into, there we go. So some of my roles here, I help with the referral process with our Early Start Autism programs, which is CEPIT. I'll go more into that in a little bit. ESAIP, IT. I work with quality assurance and report reviewing, as well as IEP and school consultation. I will say there's a lot of information in these slides, and this presentation will be available later once we get some more information from our autism coordinator added to it as well. So for our Early Start Autism programs, the first one is our Social Engagement Program for Infants and Toddlers, or CEPIT. This is primarily for children 18 months and older. They demonstrate a lack of social and environmental awareness, absolutely like no functional play, unable to attend or maintain attention. It's home-based. The deadline to refer for this is 32 to 33 months. The CEPIT questionnaire needs to be completed and reflect all no's. There are case-by-case situations where a child may be more appropriate for CEPIT than ESAIP, despite their scores, and should be consulted with me and your program manager before a service is offered. The referral packet should include the most current IFSP or addendum, any reports that might be informative, like the MCHAT, the speech and language report, IDS assessments, and then you would submit the referral via email to myself. My email is here. It's oheld@vmrc.net. CEPIT services begin at 5 hours per week, or 25 hours per month. I input the initial purchase into Sandus, but if there's any other purchases after the fact, like if a child increases in hours with the program, the service coordinator themselves would enter in that new purchase. And all documents can be found in the P drive under the Early Start folder and then in the Autism folder. And then Early Start Autism Intervention Program, or ESAIP, similar format, 18 months or older. These are for children that are at risk of autism spectrum disorder, exhibit any ASD red flags, or have already been diagnosed. They need to be able to handle intensive programming, and the family needs to be able to handle that as well. It's intense, it's a lot of hours. It's very different from comprehensive program that the parent may be used to. So that's something that I really encourage service coordinators to discuss with families, is the difference between the comprehensive programming and intensive programming. And just like CEPIT, the referral packet can be found in the P drive in the autism folder within Early Start. It needs to be submitted to myself via email. ESAIP is 6 hours per week instead of 5 like CEPIT. And I do input the initial purchase into Sandus, and then a service coordinator would input any purchases after the fact, like if they increase with the program. The next program I work with referrals is our infant toddler program. This is primarily for children 30 months or older. It's a preschool kind of environment and helps them develop stronger socialization and generalization skills. It's center-based instead of being home-based like CEPIT and ESAIP. The service coordinator makes the referral for this one, so that's a little bit different. And they input the initial purchase and then any purchase after the fact too. But I would encourage you to consult with me about whether this is appropriate for a child or not. And then if a program is referring to or recommending for the child to switch to IT from, say, ESAIP, we would want to consult about that before making that change. The documents can also be found in the same folder, Autism, under Early Start within the P drive. I work with quality assurance issues too. So if you are having any issues with an Early Start program, any concerns, please consult with me and I can get in the conversation with that. An example would be if a parent is unhappy or having communication issues and they're wanting to change a program. We would want to problem solve before we make any major changes. So I would like to be involved in that conversation as well as your program manager. And then we would see if we can figure something out before we make a change to a new program. You can email me at my email, or you can also call me at 955-3252. As far as report reviewing goes, ABA programs submit all reports, whether it's ESAP, CEPIT, or IT, to myself for review and approval. And this includes any initial, progress, and exit reports. For education services, if your family or consumer is dealing with any IEP or school issues, you can make a referral to myself to help with that. I can talk with you about it. I can talk with the family about it. I can attend IEPs if that's needed as well. The form for this is under the clinical folder in the P drive. Fill out the form as best as you can. There are some places in there where you need to make sure you include like the school district that you're working with and the current services that the child has, their offer of FAPE, that kind of stuff. So I can have a good understanding of what we're dealing with. And then any kind of general questions, like, I had recently a question about kids returning to school right now. And what if the parent doesn't agree with that? What can we do? Those kind of questions can just kind of be sent in an email, or you can call me and I can answer as best as I can. I would really, really recommend trying to get some of these bigger questions asked before you go into IEP meetings. I've had a couple cases where I'm called during an IEP and I will answer as best as I can, but I can't guarantee to have an answer for you on the spot. But I will always try to work with you as much as I can. And that's pretty much it. That's what I do. So if there's any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Do we have any questions for Olivia Held? Okay, we do not see. Okay, yeah. Okay, there's Ray who's saying hello to Ms. Held, but that's not a question. Okay, so the question is, were you a service coordinator?
I was a service coordinator. I should have given a little bit of background information. Sorry. I've been with VMRC for, oh my gosh, I think almost 3 years now. And I was a service coordinator. I bounced around from transition, children's, adults. I went into early start, and then I went into this position. So I've had experience with being a service coordinator for a couple years.
Right, so I do not see any more questions. Thank you very much, Olivia. The information.
Thank you.
Olivia, can you stop your screen share?
I think I can. Yes.
All right, so after Olivia, we now have the dental coordinator, Carissa McGuffin, presenting before you, and she shall be speaking about how the dental coordinator can help you. So over to you, Carissa.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for having me this morning. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to talk to you guys today. I recognize a lot of the new hire names, so that's awesome. That means we're already working together and getting to know each other. So that's really great. If you guys don't know me, I am Carissa McGuffin. I am the dental coordinator, and I am a dental hygienist. Unlike pretty much everybody else, I did not start as a service coordinator. I was hired under a contract about almost 18 months ago, so about 1.5 years. And the last 1.5 years has been a giant crash course in how the regional center system works. I didn't know any of the acronyms or the abbreviations when I started, so I think that's probably been one of the harder parts, actually, is learning and memorizing all of those things that we send in emails really quickly, thinking that we all know what they mean, and I didn't to start off with. So that was really interesting. I just kind of want to start off by sharing why oral health is important. For so many years, dental was kind of set aside. It was not considered medical. It wasn't considered necessary, but it is. Our teeth are not just aesthetic. They're not just there so we have a beautiful smile that we can show off to people, but our teeth are actually medically necessary, as you could probably guess. Number one, we don't want to live in pain, right? And our teeth can cause us pain. But beyond that, our teeth help us with our daily living. Some things we don't think about, but if we did not have teeth, we couldn't chew our food and eat, which would mean we are not getting the nutrition to our bodies. And in the last 10 to 20 years, our oral health has been linked to uncontrolled diabetes. It's been linked to heart disease. It's been linked to several cancers, and it has been linked to Alzheimer's. And so that's kind of just like a real quick introduction to why I think that oral health is important, since I don't have a lot of time today. So what do I do at VMRC? I was initially hired to start a virtual dental home. And without going into a lot of detail, basically that is a way for our consumers to receive dental services in a portable setting. So VDHs or virtual dental homes, they're set up in schools, they've been set up in day programs, they've been set up in regional center offices, they've been set up in care homes, any type of setting where a consumer is, the dental services can be brought to them. And I was working with Dr. Glassman, who is a dentist who has worked with a lot of the regional centers. We had our project going. We had written a grant proposal. We were really had the ball rolling. And then COVID-19 hit and everything has been kind of on hold with that specific project. So in place of it at the moment, we are working on a small project together that will be inside the care homes, just basically helping the consumers with their daily oral health. Since we can't really be in person yet, we don't have the resources to start this big virtual dental home project. That is kind of the small project that we're working on right now. So that takes up a big part of the time that I have. But beyond that, I do education. Typically, this is reserved for our service providers, our care home owners, day program staff. But since they're all virtual right now, service coordinators have attended, are able to attend. I think that's a good learning opportunity just to learn about oral health and how it impacts everybody and impacts our consumers. They are listed on the website. Our next one is in November. One of the biggest things that I spend a lot of time on is sedation dentistry. So as new service coordinators, you may have encountered this or not. It's one of the hardest services to come across for dental in our area. And this is kind of an ongoing project that I'm working on, an ongoing thing that I'm working on solutions for. If you do have a consumer that needs sedation dentistry and the family or caregiver or you are having a hard time finding solutions, please email me. Under the P drive, I have a folder. There's multiple dental folders, but mine is Dental Coordinator Resources. And under there are sedation resources, and there is a referral. I will be updating that referral over the next couple of weeks. There are a couple tweaks that I need to make to it. But please fill that out and send it to me, and then I will reach out to you from there. And then one of the newer things that I've been doing, that I've been starting now that we can't see each other in person as much, if I do have a situation where I need to see a consumer face-to-face to make decisions on dental treatment. Let me take that back. I don't make any decisions on dental treatment, but I can help push in the way of a resource for that consumer. So sometimes I need to see the consumer in person to understand what exactly is going on, where they need to be sent for a resource. So I have been having Zoom meetings with families and the service coordinator to kind of be all on the same page and get all the information that we need. So that's kind of been a big adjustment that we've been doing during this time. And then I want to kind of end off by letting you guys know how to reach me. I am not Carissa McGuffin in anything related to VMRC. So if you need to find me on the EIO board, email, anything like that, I'm dental coordinator. So, yeah. And then I think I had a question.
Yes, there's a question from Daisy. I think Daisy wants to know the educational background.
I am a dental hygienist. I have my bachelor degree in dental hygiene from University of Pacific.
Do we have any more questions for Carissa?
Yeah, there's one more question in the box. What risk does smoking, drinking, or using tobacco or nicotine have on our oral health?
That is a great question. So all of those greatly affect our oral health. Smoking and tobacco can both lead to oral cancer. Oral cancer has one of the highest death rates as far as cancers go because it's often not detected until it's way too late. Once there's a lump or a bump in your mouth, that means that it's gone way too far. So that's a huge thing. Number two, smoking can lead to periodontal disease or gum disease. And that's when the bone around your tooth kind of disintegrates until your teeth become loose and eventually fall out. And then alcohol has a drying effect. And so it will make your mouth dry if you drink a lot of alcohol, which can lead to cavities.
We do not see any more questions. Thank you very much, Carissa.
Thank you.
So the next speaker that we have is Katina Richardson from Special Projects, and she will be sharing information about ensuring federal waivers, incidents, and other reporting compliance. So over to Katina.
Thank you, Jesse. Good morning, and thank you for everyone having me here today to speak to you, and welcome to VMRC. My name is Katina Richardson, and I'm the Special Projects Manager, and I've been with VMRC for 21 years. I did start as a service coordinator on a children's unit, and then I transitioned to our Special Projects Department. My unit is responsible for our federal programs and making sure that we're in compliance with those. Also responsible for our special incident reporting to our oversight agency, which is the Department of Developmental Services. And we're responsible for coordinating referrals to the children's crisis homes and also for unannounced visits. So I'll just touch on our federal waiver programs and give you a little bit of background on what those are. The first is our largest program, which is Medicaid waiver, and it's also known as the HCBS, or Home and Community-Based Services waiver, or the DD waiver. It's basically a federal reimbursement program that enables the State Department of Developmental Services, and you'll hear that referred to as DDS, to recapture money they spend to keep consumers with disabilities in community settings rather than institutions. We currently have approximately 5,100 consumers on this waiver program, and it generates approximately $50 to $60 million annually for the state general fund. And then we receive allocations from our oversight agency, again, DDS, to both our operations and our purchase of service budgets. So it's really important in keeping our system of care whole and making sure we can provide all of the services that our consumers need. And I have 4 full-time qualified intellectual disability professionals on my team, and their primary role is to add consumers to this program and then recertify that they continue to be eligible for it on an annual basis. The next program is institutional deeming, and this program allows consumers who would normally not qualify for Medi-Cal to access Medi-Cal and Medi-Cal funded services by waiving their parental income and only considering the income and resources of the individual consumer. The next program is nursing home reform, and Misty Yang on my unit is the QIDP responsible for implementing this program. These provisions originated from the Federal Omnibus Reconciliation Act of 1987, and it requires that persons who have or are suspected to have a developmental disability, either prior to or upon admission to a nursing facility, that they are professionally assessed. And the assessment determines whether they do have a developmental disability, whether they're appropriate for nursing home placement, and if they require specialized services. And we receive federal funding for those different types of assessments. The next program that I'll mention is targeted case management, or Title 19, and these are your documentation or your notes that you complete. Title 19 became a federal Medicaid program back in 1986, and this program basically allows Regional Center to be reimbursed for case management services that are provided by qualified staff, and service coordinators are considered qualified staff. Let's see, the next is Medicare Part D. So back in 2008, Medicare implemented a Part D program which allows for consumers to have their medications covered through Medicare. And currently VMRC contracts with University of the Pacific School of Pharmacy so that they can conduct plan reviews and enrollments for our consumers on an annual basis to ensure that they're in the best fit plan. And by best fit, I mean that they are on the plan that requires the least out-of-pocket cost and has the most comprehensive coverage. Currently, our census, or the number of consumers that have Medicare Part D, is approximately 1,500, and we're in the middle of Medicare's annual open enrollment period, which is from October 15th through December 7th. So right now, University of the Pacific is doing plan reviews for our Medicare only consumers and enrolling them in the best fit plan. And then in January, they'll start doing that for our dual eligible consumers or consumers that have both Medicare and Medi-Cal. Along with all of those federal dollars that we receive, we have some reporting requirements, and that brings us to special incident reporting. And so all long-term health facilities or care facilities and vendored services are required to report special incidents involving consumers to regional centers within 24 hours of the incident. In addition to those reporting requirements outlined in Title 17, VMRC has 5 required categories that vendors are required to report that are not listed in the regulations. The regional center in turn has 2 business days to report those incidents to our oversight agency, which is Department of Developmental Services. And these regulations were designed to identify breakdowns in vendor care and to safeguard our consumers. So I mentioned the crisis homes, and there are 3 2-bed facilities in Stockton. And these are short-term residential treatment programs that are designed to stabilize consumers so they can go back to a lower level of care or their family home. This is the highest level of community placement for children. It's a regional resource, so we receive referrals from all 21 regional centers, but more frequently from those in Northern California. And we have the special projects liaison position on my team, and specifically Stacy Shaw. She accepts referrals for these programs. And then we meet weekly with a treatment team. It's a multidisciplinary team. With the vendor Kavir, we meet with, there's a board certified behavior analyst, the social worker, the parent or legal guardian, one of the liaisons, and myself. And we discuss consumer progress, problem solve, and we act as a liaison for them. So let's see. And then risk assessment committee. So along with special incident reporting, we are required by regulation to have a risk assessment committee, and we meet quarterly. And the function of this committee is to review special incident reports, attempt to identify trends, try to mitigate reoccurrence of special incidents, and conduct mortality reviews. Another part of my role here at VMRC is to sit on the Children's Residential Screening Committee, along with Julie DiDiego and Pam Kodrowski. And we meet weekly to identify, review referrals and identify placement options for children that require residential placement. And then I'm also the contact for VMRC for our statewide specialized resource services, or you'll hear that shortened sometimes to SSRS. So as part of Assembly Bill 1472, regional centers are required to provide DDS information regarding specialized resources that are developed with community placement plan monies. And these resources need to be made available to other regional centers. So sometimes if you're seeking a placement for your consumer and we don't have anything available in our 5-county catchment area, you may be asked to complete an SSRS referral. And so that is a 1-page form, and I can provide that to you, and you just submit it back to me, and then I submit it to DDS, and they'll identify if there are any resources that are in California, and if so, they'll put you in touch with that regional center, and then you can pursue the placement with them. I know this is a lot of information, so I did ask Jesse to share with you, it's a special projects unit contact sheet, and it has for my department, it has all of our names, our titles, our extensions, and our areas of responsibility. So please feel free at any time to contact any of us with any questions that you might have. Yeah, just enjoy your journey here at VMRC. There are no 2 days that are alike. It's a great opportunity to learn and grow and to make a difference in people's lives. I feel very honored to be able to serve in the capacity that I do. And thank you and welcome to the VMRC family.
Katina, do you want me to pull up that list that you sent to us? We do have, Doug has it, and it'll be possible to share if you want to share it.
That would be great.
Okay, all right. Doug, it's a Word document that was sent from Katina, because we still have about 2 more minutes for you. So just in case you'd like to explain something.
What was the title of the document?
SPU contact sheet.
Okay.
And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer questions as well.
Okay, there. Okay. Okay, there's a question from Ray. The scariest incident report case you ever received?
Oh gosh.
That you reviewed?
I think any of the ones that surround abuse and neglect can be, you know, disheartening, and some of the things that you have to read and see can be difficult, but it just highlights how vulnerable our consumers are and how important special incident reporting is, because it's intended to protect our consumers' health and safety. And so specifically, I can't think of one, but I think anything with suspected abuse or neglect can be, you know, disheartening, unfortunately.
So we're sharing the details of the department here, Katina, in case you want to.
So everyone's name and title is on here. Misty, she's one of our QIDPs, so you can contact her for waiver. For nursing home reform, Mary Duncan, she does our waiver research as well. And then she also handles all of the transfer ins for Medicaid waiver. Megan and Carrie both do waiver, institutional deeming, Part D. Stacy Shaw, she does special incident reporting and coordinates the referrals for the Stockton crisis homes. Pa Yang, she is responsible for special incident reporting, and she also works to close out our special incident reports. And then we have our 2 wonderful SOTs, Denise Clements and Pushu Avu, who keep us organized and on task, so we really appreciate them. So, and all of our extensions are there. I don't have our email addresses listed, but you know, you can call me, email me, come by the office when we're back in the office, and we're here as a resource for you. So.
Thank you very much, Katina.
Thank you, Jessie.
We appreciate all the information, and I'm sure that's going to be really helpful for all the new hires. I'd just like to mention at this point, I think I did mention even in the beginning and even via emails, that this entire event is being recorded. So at any point, if you feel, you know, you've just taken a short break or you missed out on something, the entire event is recorded and it's going to be available to everybody who's here. So the next speaker we have is Melissa Claypool, the autism coordinator, presenting before us. Over to you, Melissa.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Claypool, coordinator of autism services. I have a teething baby in the background, so this might be a little noisy. I apologize. Let me go ahead and get my screen up. So I'm in our clinical department, normally in our Stockton office. And I will be showing a little bit about what I do, because there is a lot. You guys can see that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is just a little bit overview of some of the responsibilities I have. I work closely with Olivia in terms of some of this overlap and things like that. A lot of what she was doing is things I've done before. I've been with the regional center for 13 years and spent 6 years as a children's team service coordinator in Stockton, and have been in clinical now for 7 years. So this is just a little quick overview. And again, like Olivia said earlier, this will all be available for everybody once we get some cleaned up information in there. We have the hands-on parent training classes, which we offer in English and in Spanish. I oversee those, work with and coordination of that. Behavior services, just a little overview of what we have there. I work on insurance stuff, EIBT, consultations, and autism referrals. So these are the parent training classes. This flyer that's posted here on this slide is available. I kind of noted here at the bottom, all of this is in the P-Drive Behavioral Classes folder. We offer the classes in English and Spanish in Stockton and Modesto. Right now, they are all being done via Zoom since we are in COVID times, but the referral process, everything is still the same. We've had zero disruption to the classes. We were able to get this moved over quickly so that we could continue to offer this resource. The class is available to all of our families. It is aimed a little bit more at children's teams and early start services just because it is teaching the parents the skills. So it's a little bit more challenging for the adults. The information is geared to the children, and so that's just some feedback we get from parents. We're looking at expansion of classes, but as of right now, just trying to hold it together during COVID. We have been offering these classes. These classes have been around for, I don't even know, probably 20 years. Very well received. Parents kind of view it negatively, but in general, the information a lot of parents provide and feedback is once they've attended, they really enjoy the information and kind of wish they'd attended sooner. It's an excellent overview, just kind of some simple reminders of how to kind of tackle some really basic behavior things. Good for all of our families. And here goes the baby. So we have behavior intervention services that we offer as insurance autism mandates have changed over the recent years. The availability of these services has changed a little bit. A lot more insurance responsibility as mandates have been passed to require coverage through insurance. And just a quick overview of what we have. BIS is a parent training model. Right now it is being done in a mostly telehealth format. This is a little bit of approximation. It's a little bit case-by-case determination based on need, but about 1 hour per week where the behaviorist is working with the parent or the caregiver for data collection, teaching them how to collect the data, reporting back on it, giving them intervention strategies that they are then taking data on. As noted, they're assigned for 40 to 80 hours across a 6 to 9 month time frame, and we monitor these monthly and extend as needed. Sorry, baby's gonna knock things over here. The FBIS is something we have for a little bit more intensive need. There's a little bit of one-on-one intervention up to 10 hours per week that starts. So these are for a lot of more severe behavioral needs where we need to really get some instructional control started before working on that parent training piece. And then we have Encore, which is a wraparound service that also provides that higher level of behavior intervention. And at the bottom, you can see behavior services referral form is used for all of these services, and they all are submitted to me with supporting documents. And all of that information is in the P-Drive, forms, case management, clinical folders. That link is there, or that chain is there. As I noted previously, there's a lot of availability for generic resources for behavior services. For managed care Medi-Cal, there's coverage available through age 21. The ABA is covered through BHT, so that's a terminology used pretty regularly within the industry now, behavioral health treatment. There is a mandate that managed care plans fund for services for any child with a diagnosis, or any diagnosis I should note, as long as it's recommended by a doctor or a psychologist. It no longer is specific to autism for the kids on managed care Medi-Cal. Those with fee-for-service or straight Medi-Cal, they defer back to us for us to provide those services. For private insurance cases, most plans within the state of California are now required to cover autism therapy. There might still be some that are excluded because the plan is housed out of state, or it is a self-funded insurance plan, so things through unions typically. Private insurance does still require the diagnosis of autism And the regional center is able to look at assistance with copay, coinsurance, and or deductibles. So that is part of what I help with too. The insurance requests for those with private insurance that don't have a secondary insurance and are in need of assistance. They can request assistance for deductibles, copays, and or coinsurance, all pieces of it. We cannot pay premiums though for insurance. For cases 3 and up, the family must meet income guidelines and complete an income assessment, which the threshold is 400% of federal poverty level, same as FCPP and AFPF kind of guidelines. Early start cases are not required to go through the income assessment. We also look at responsibility of generic resource, including secondary insurances, whether it's another private plan or a Medi-Cal plan. And we also look if the service is the responsibility of an education agency. We are looking to see if they are accessing appropriate services and not utilizing this in place of a generic resource. So I participate in the insurance review committee, which involves myself, a program manager, and our fiscal department to look at all of that information. And I also, just because I've been doing this insurance stuff for a while, have developed a wealth of knowledge around insurance. So I am here for consultation questions in terms of issues that families are encountering in terms of coverage, how to get the information they need, finding out if it's possible that their plan is covering the service, not covering the service, just any of those crazy questions. If I don't have an answer, I'm always willing to reach out and try and find it. There's information, again, P-Drive, forms folder, the case management, clinical, there's a whole section in there on insurance assistance requests. And, oops, we're going the wrong way here. The other service I oversee is EIBT, which is unique to our area. It's a collaborative program funded between ourselves, the school districts, and SELPAs. It is driven by the IEP process as an offer of FAPE, the free and appropriate public education. Typically 35 to 40 hours per week, 47 weeks per year. Parent training component, community-based. It is encouraging general education access as well as part of the IEP process. We fund this in conjunction, like I said, with the school districts. As this program has developed over the years, our school districts have really intensified their programs for children with autism specifically. So we're seeing a little bit less of this service being utilized, but it is still available as a continuum on the IEP. For early start cases, I am available for consultations when we're in person. I can do some observations. That's just kind of a quick overview. It's for when teens are kind of a little stuck with what's going on, need some help in talking to the parent about autism, what the concerns are, helping kind of fine tune if everybody is seeing something a little bit differently. Right now though, case consultation, I am available to provide that, just review of records and review cases with staff. We could consider virtual observations, I suppose, if needed. And then I work closely with our staff psychologist on some cases just to figure out if, additional support is needed or additional consultation. And then I also oversee our autism evaluation referrals. So when the team is identifying that need and early start and intake, receiving those referrals, assigning them to appropriate vendors, watching the timelines on the cases for intake and third birthdays, just trying to make sure everybody is getting seen in a timely fashion, working on quality assurance stuff with the psychologists and working with our staff on all of that. And then we get the reports back through clinical and are distributed by our SOT to the staff. Just a quick thing too, the autism evaluations, we complete best practice evaluations with our licensed clinical psychologists. It's based on DDS directive. It includes observation, the cognitive testing, adaptive measures, and ADOS administration, and all of that. So, and again, these slides will be there for you guys to view in the future. And also, I apologize for the baby noise in the background. Any questions? I know I see some popping up, but I can't see them.
Okay, there's a question here. When is the cutoff age that you stop providing autistic services to an individual?
We don't necessarily have a cutoff age. Our services aren't necessarily based on the diagnosis, it's based on the needs. So we are always looking at what the identified need is, what's the best way to approach it. So we do behavior services for, I have a couple of older consumers right now receiving those services in their 50s and 60s, you know, tackling really specific issues that are going on. So the EIBT is young and is autism specific, but again, that's driven by the IEP team, and we look at that as early intervention starting around age 3. And that's not an ongoing available service. It's just driven by the IEP team at that young age.
Thank you very much, Melissa. I do not see any more questions. Thank you very much for taking out the time to present today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Melissa, can you unshare your screen, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd just like to mention that right now we are having our segment on specializations, and we started at 9 a.m. So the next speaker that we have coming up is Elizabeth Diaz. And after that, we're going to take a short break of about 10 minutes. So the speaker towards the end of the segment on specializations, the next one is Elizabeth, and she's the program manager, and she's going to be presenting about self-determination program. So over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. So yes, I was asked to talk about self-determination. I also started as a service coordinator about 14 years ago in a children's team, and then I went to a transition team, and I became a program manager for a Modesto office. And now I'm a program manager at our Stockton office for a children's team and the self-determination team. My background in education is I have a BA in psychology, undergrad in education, and then a master's in social work. And I was asked to talk about where we are in the program and where it's going. I'm also going to briefly talk about how we got here. And again, I have 10 minutes, so I'm going to go as fast as I can. So the Latterman Act was passed in 1969, and I want to point out that this was a beautiful thing for the individuals that we serve, because finally we have something in writing that says that they have the right to receive supports and services just to live like anybody else with disabilities. Next slide. Our mission statement, also I want to point out choice and inclusion. I know we've talked about person-centered planning, and I'll get to that. And I think, the Latterman and our mission statement just ties that together. And the collaboration with the families in the community, which is something I'm very proud of that we do here at the Regional Center, and how that ties to self-determination is just amazing. I'm just so proud of this program. I'm also one of the person-centered thinking trainers in our regional center. The other 3 are Pam, Karen, and Angie. And I wanted to talk a little bit about person-centered thinking, because it is the heart of self-determination. And again, it all ties together again. It's the beautiful law that passed. And person-centered thinking is about being respectful to people, being respectful and being positive, and having people tell us what they want. It's not about us telling people what we think is right for them. It's about listening and listening to what they want to do with their lives. Go ahead, Doug. So some of the person-centered thinking skills, we are here to support individuals, not fix a problem. And I think historically, that's what we as social workers want to do. We want to go in there and fix things. Well, person-centered thinking just has us just step back and say, no, we need to listen and support the individual with what they're telling us, and then see how we can move forward, because we want to stop putting band-aids over a concern. We want to really help the individual move forward. And this works for everybody, and it's really about, again, what I love about it goes back to that, partnership with our community, and taking accountability of what all the players have to do to help support the individuals. Next slide. So the main concepts of person-centered thinking is important to, and important for, and how do we find the balance between both the important to and the important for? Go ahead, Doug. So important to focuses on what the individual is telling us. It focuses on how the individual, what makes the individual happy and fulfilled, satisfied, and this can be, as you see some examples, the people they like to be with. If we tell somebody, who do you love, and they say family, we can assume it's everyone in the family, but we really need to go in there and get those details on what person's in their family, who, and how we do this in our planning is we talk about, so who are the people in your family you spend the most time with, and what do you guys do for fun? You know, we really get to know the individual and asking them what's important to them. Next one. And what's another thing important too, again, it's not only listening to their words, but listening to their behavior. We have a lot of individuals that have limited communication verbally, so they might be communicating with us in a different way, and having those circle of supports that are there that know them the best will help us with understanding the individual on what's important to them. There's also the part where I talked about important for, and there's two parts to the important for. The first one is health and safety, and historically the Regional Center has done an amazing job recording all the health and safety concerns in our IPP. Go ahead, Doug. The second part is what other people see that's important for the individual. So how to be valued and how to be a contributing member in their community. Go ahead, Doug. Next one. So that's person-centered thinking, and I am just on the surface of what I just reviewed. We have a training that I'll talk about later that's mandatory for all service coordinators to attend. But person-centered thinking then leads to person-centered planning, which are the actual meetings that all of you service coordinators will be having with your families. So what is important too, again, this is the process where we start to talk about what's important to them and plan what is important for them. And one of the things is we pursue competence. We focus on the strengths. You know, we, again, consider all forms of communication. And another very important part is, you know, we respect culture, diversity. And again, I'm very happy to work at this regional center because, as you can see, we have a very diverse team as well. So this is part of the meeting, but to have a really good meeting, we have to start with pre-planning. And with pre-planning, we talk about the important decisions that the person wants to have before the actual meeting. So in the next slide, we'll see some of those things. So the person needs to decide, and when I talk about the individual or the person, I'm talking about our consumers that we serve, are, you know, when they want the meeting to take place, what time is the meeting going to be held, what do they want to discuss or not discuss. That's very important, and that's something that we value a lot in self-determination, because again, it's all about the person-centered planning. So all of these are discussed prior to our meetings. Go ahead, Doug. Next slide. So how do we use a person-centered plan once we have it complete? They can look very different. At our regional center, we have the individual program plan, which is the IPP. Again, it's a legal agreement with what supports and services we have agreed on with the individual we serve. What? Oh my gosh, I'm being told I have 2 minutes. Okay, so we have the individual program plan. We have person-centered planning reports that the self-determination team does. So you guys will see the IPP and the person-centered plan, and those look very different. I'm being rushed to do this. So the self-determination bill was signed in October 2013, and it's taken us up to this point to start within our soft rollout. We have 110 consumers for our regional center. And I do want to say this regional center is like #1 in the state with all our consumers that we have enrolled in the self-determination program. So I'm very happy. We have 3 service coordinators in that team. We have the project manager that helps as well. and to be eligible for the self-determination program, the individual has to have a developmental disability and receive regional center services. They have to qualify for Latterman services over the age of 3. And they have to live in the community and have free choice of their life, which goes into the final role. I'm not going to go into that. I think there's another presenter who has already presented on that. And if somebody is in the self-determination program and they move to a different regional center, that will follow with them. These are the 5 principles of self-determination. Go ahead, next slide. So what's next after the individual selected? They must attend an orientation that we, Angie and I and the self-determination team have once a month. They create a person-centered plan. Most of it is our team, the regional center staff. We have a person-centered IPP meeting, agree on a budget, help the family identify a financial management service provider, and develop a spending plan. What is the regional center working on? All of you have to attend a mandatory self-determination training in November. Cindy Mix has sent that email to all new staff, and all service coordinators will be attending. January 2021, we will start our self-determination trainings for all participants again. And in January 2021, we are starting our person-centered thinking training via Zoom. It's usually a 2-day training from 9 to 4:30. This will be a 6-day training that's going to be for 3 hours. So 6-day, 3-hour training. The person-centered planning training is mandatory. And we also highly encourage anyone who is selected in self-determination to take that training. And again, they are required to take the self-determination training, which is a 3-hour training. And I was rushed by Doug the entire time. You guys couldn't hear him, but he was screaming at me.
I blame Tony. He developed the agenda.
So if there's any questions.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Do we have any questions for Elizabeth? I don't see any questions, but I see a lot of compliments for the self-determination team. So
one other thing I want to say about self-determination is that all you guys should be very excited about it, because it's a huge, huge positive change for the individuals that we serve, which provide a lot of more opportunities and choice. And another thing is that it's going to impact all of you. I know some of you may not want to take the training or think you guys don't have to, but next year, Tony and Cindy have said that all of you will carry self-determination cases. So they're not coming to our team. We only have 3 service coordinators. You guys will stay with them. So you guys need to learn about self-determination, because it is going to impact the entire agency. So, and I'll talk more about that in our November training.
So Elizabeth, we do have a question, but we would not be able to take it here. And we're going to forward it to you. It's from Ray, so we'll do that. And Ray just wanted you to be aware that your question would be forwarded to Elizabeth. At this point, I'd just like to mention that we're going to take a short break. So it's 11:12, and we have the next speaker from our community partners, a very important segment, very important resources that we're going to talk about. So we're going to take a break for about 8 to 10 minutes, and we're going to be back at 11:20 a.m. So just a short break, go to the restroom, get a drink of water for yourself, whatever, just walk around. So see you in another 8 minutes. Thank you.
Hi.
Hey, Elise. So they're still recording this for training purposes.
Okay.
So I'm just going to mute, and when we come back from break, it'll be you and Trina.
Well, Christine, the answers are not coming in too good yet.
What does that mean? Are they failing my quiz?
Just joking.
That's a crying shame.
Don't give the answer yet. You never know. Somebody might be listening.
Okay, somebody might still need to take the poll. It disappeared for me. I just assumed it was over. Oh, here it is.
Did you answer it?
It won't let me because I'm
Oh, really? I selected.
panelist.
I selected the option to have panelists and attendees answer.
Oh, I just saw poll number 1. Okay, I'm going to answer poll number 1. Will it let me?
Oh, it doesn't? Oh, it only does poll number 2.
Let me try poll number 2. No,
No.
won't let me on poll number 2 either.
All right.
Oh, well,
there
that was
you
a
go.
good time. Maybe I'll launch a poll about
I wonder if you would have gotten it right, though.
Probably not. Brenda doesn't even see the poll. So you don't see the poll, Brenda? It didn't pop up on your screen? Oh, I guess you can't talk back to me.
I don't see any polls either.
I saw it when it popped up.
Oh,
Let me did you relaunch it, Tony?
Oh, it says it's closed. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. The poll is closed.
Here, I'll relaunch it.
Hey, Tony and Doug, did you see my email?
Okay.
You sent an email?
Are we supposed to check our email while we're in here?
Well, it's not the class conference, so
No.
the wrong dates are on there.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh my God.
Vance Taylor just sent it to me, so I sent it to you, and I went, uh-oh.
Oh my gosh. I was just showing you guys the other day too.
We're gonna have to talk to the communications director about this.
Yes, it's that guy.
That communications director. Hosts and panelists do not. Oh, thanks, Trina. You of course would know that stuff. You're so smart, girl. Trina's the local Zoom expert.
It must have a limit of how long it can stay on. Probably should have checked that setting.
Ask Trina, she knows. Oh no, somebody got the answer wrong. Someone said the 4731 complaint is not a complaint procedure. Oh, heck. We better relaunch this quiz.
Yeah, let's try that again.
Okay, here we go. We're trying again. Come on, everybody. You can vote.
Just keep voting till you get the right answer.
It has something to do with the weather. The answer has something to do with the weather. Oh, no.
Somebody's messing with you.
Probably OCRA. I gotta blame somebody.
Always quick to blame me, Christine.
Well, it's easy. And I know that you'll forgive me and we'll just move on. Brenda wants a complaint line for the weather. That's exciting. I wish it was warmer in this building. I'm freezing today. I gotta find
The dates were wrong. You know what? I think what happened? We were doing some work on something in a different year. And I wonder if my calendar was still stuck there.
Oh, I let Nicole and Vance know, but you might want to let Nancy and Laura know.
Yeah, I don't even know if they got this announcement, but
I shared the announcement. I didn't look at it first, though.
oh. Is it consistent for all three of them?
First two are wrong. The one on the 17th is correct.
It's a trick that we play in the information industry where we get another bite at the apple that way.
No comment about the poll results.
It's on you. You're not clear enough on your presentation.
This is such a great place to work. I'm going to have to spend some time with Doug and see if I can get some advice on how to work with the executive director.
It's tough. I know.
All right, so welcome back. I know it was a short break, a much needed break, and we're back. So after the break in this segment, we shall be meeting with some really important people who would be speaking about some very, very important resources in the form of our community partners. And I'm sure these are resources that you can really utilize. And we just want you to be aware of all that. So the first speakers from this segment are Lisa Otse, and I apologize if I did not pronounce your last name correctly, and Katerina Castro from Self Advocacy Council 6. So over to you, Lisa and Katerina.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa. Okay. Hi, I am Lisa Utsi. I am a member of the Self Advocacy Council 6 as a chairperson. And also, I sit on the board of Department of Develop's Disability Consumer Advisory Committee.
Hi, my name is Katrina Castro, and I am Vice Chairman of Self Advocacy Council 6. and representing my People's First group of Open Door Service in Manteca.
What is Self-Advocacy Council 6 and how did we get started? First, you need to know that years ago, self-advocates from Amador, Calaveras, San Joaquin, Stanislaus, and Tuolumne County would get together every 3 months at the area self-advocacy meeting in Manteca.
The reason we were meeting was that by joining together at the meeting made us strong. By the meeting together, everyone would learn about self-advocacy, how to speak up for ourselves, what would make friends, and have fun too.
We found that when we get stronger, we could speak up to the system. We would have a say in the decisions about services and support we needed to live the way we wanted to live.
So when we get together at the area meeting on May 1st, 1992, we decide we need a strong voice to be heard all the time and to learn our self-advocacy moment. At this meeting, we decide to start the Self-Advocacy Council 6. This happened with a $500 grant that Area Board 6 got from SCDD North Valley Hills office.
In 1993, the Self-Advocate Council 6 became the Consumer Advisory Committee to Valley Mountain Regional Center. We became a non-profit organization in June 1999.
What does Self-Advocacy Council 6 do? Self-Advocacy Council 6 does many different things. We are connected with Valley Mountains Regional Center as their consumer advocacy. The Consumer Advocacy Committee, there are a few of the things that we do. 1, organize area self-advocacy meetings every 3 months. We hold those meetings in San Joaquin, Calaveras, and Mountain counties. 2, ask people what service they need. 3, we help self-advocacy and their families seek social issues. Let VMRC know about issues and problems. 5, help self-advocacy attendance the statewide self-advocacy conference in Sacramento and also the local choices conference. We support self-advocacy from Area 6. One of the fun things we do at People's First of California statewide conference is to present the dating game. This is always fun for the self-advocacies who participate. SAC 6 board members have been speakers at this choice conference. 6, find more advocacies to be members of Council 6 and start more advocacy groups in our regional.
Self-Advocacy Council 6 has representatives that sit on the Area Board 6, the VMRC Board of Directors, VMRC Finance Committee, the Legislation Committee, the Nomination Committee, Executive Committee, and in the Life and the Self-Determination Committee, the Choices Committee, and the Department of Developed Services Consumer Advisory Committee, that the Mayor Task Force on Disabilities, and the San Joaquin translating team, and California Office of Emergency Services Committee. Self-Advocacy Council 6 mission is to help start and support local chapters. We will learn the information, discover, and keep the line of communication open between people who make decisions that impacts the life of people with disability. We will encourage the growth of the self-advocate movement.
To contact us, call 209-955-3306. Email us at sacs@vmrc.net and mail us at 702 North N. R. Tools. I don't know how to say that name. The word Street, Stockton, California 95202. You can also like our page on Facebook at SAC6. Are there any questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Lisa and Katerina. Do we have any questions for Lisa and Katerina? Okay. I just see compliments. Great job, Lisa and Trina. And so thank you very much, Lisa and Katerina. We appreciate
You're
you.
welcome.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you taking out time and being here with us. Thank you. So the next speaker that we have is Lisa Cully from Family Resource Network.
Okay, good morning. And I would like to request to share my screen.
Tony, if you can just add her. Oh, there you go.
I think it's
Yep.
working. Maybe. There we go. Good morning. So my name is Lisa Cully from the Family Resource Network, and we are the family support agency for this area. So we have a very small staff. We're working on a staff of 3. So there's myself, we have a program coordinator, and we have an outreach assistant who is also bilingual in Spanish. The unique thing about Family Resource Network is that all staff members are also the parent of a child or an adult child with a special needs. So we're here to provide that parent-to-parent support that's so important as you're raising a child with special needs. So our mission is to make a positive difference in the lives of children with special needs and disabilities by empowering the parents and caregivers to provide practical information and that emotional support, and to really appreciate the role of parents as the most important expert and advocate in the lives of the children, because they are the ones who spends more time with that child than anyone else does. And then we also want to foster that sense of community that allows parents and professionals to learn from all those shared experiences and ideas. So we were created in 1991 by a group of parents who felt that they were not being heard. And then we became a nonprofit in 1995. This movement was happening throughout California. So each regional center catchment area has a family resource type center attached to it. So we are the family resource center for the VMRC catchment area. So we do cover the same 5 counties as VMRC. And we serve families who are raising children with special needs ages birth to 22 years old. At 22, we're not going to push parents out the door and say, hey, you're done. You've had all of your time with us. You know, as our children get older and grow older, we are learning more. So we're going to have a family as long as they need that help and support. We may not be able to provide a direct service, but we can refer them to someone who maybe can. And any type of need or disability, if a family feels that they can if we can provide benefit for them, we're going to take them in. There's no cost for any of our services. We do have one event that we do ask for $10, and that covers just a small amount of the food for the day. And then we don't ask anything about income eligibility or anything about immigration. We're going to serve whoever feels that they need to be served. So the services we provide are information and referral. We are one of the points of entry referrals to the regional center, and as well as other community services. We provide follow-up to families, and then we do a lot of outreach that helps that child find those children and who have disabilities who need services. So we do a lot of community events. And then families are referred to FRN through the Early Start program. That's the birth to 36-month early intervention program. We are one of the partners for the Early Start program. A family can always call and self-refer if their child's between birth and 22 years old. And then we do ask you service coordinators that you do talk about us at each time that you meet with a family, because maybe the first time they weren't quite ready to speak to another parent, but maybe the second, third, or the 20th time you speak to them, they might be ready. So please just bring us up and say, hey, we know this great group of parents that provide support. So are you ready to have a referral? Or they can call us themselves. We partner with lots and lots of different partner agencies. So with local school districts, special education programs, VMRC, First Five in the different counties, the State Council on Developmental Disability, and other disability organizations that you've heard from today and throughout your work experience. We do provide one-on-one parent support. So we talk with parents all the time, and if one of the staff can be that support for that parent, we're going to do that. We also have a lot of information on local support groups. And then one that is a neat thing that we provide is parent partners. So if you know a parent who is looking to speak to another parent, maybe a child that with the same special need that's maybe a little bit older or the same age, we can try to match those parents together so that they can provide support to one another. And then also as staff members, we sometimes are that parent partner for a parent who's seeking that support. If we find someone within our local catchment area, we do look within our state network, and sometimes you're working with a family who has a child with a very rare condition. Maybe we need to look at some national parent matching groups as well. We are under the cone of confidentiality. We don't share anybody's personal information with anyone without their permission. Like I cannot even say, if a service coordinator calls me and says, hey, have you spoke to this parent XYZ, I don't even tell them that I have or not. We do provide parents with the utmost confidentiality. The different types of family support that we can provide, we do preemie support. So we can contact or we can talk to those parents whose babies are still in the queue. I have a staff member who has had a preemie who offers wonderful support when they're in the hospital as well as once they go home. We do have a support group for the siblings of the child with special need. So that's a group that meets, and those kids are 7 to 14 years. They are the typically developing siblings. It's a great time for them because they're a really unique breed, because they're the ones who is going to know that child with a disability the longest, longer than the parents, longer than us professionals. So we try to do things that they are learning about their child, their disability. They're learning how to build teams. They're learning to talk about the fun parts of having a sibling with a special need, as well as maybe sometimes the not so fun parts of being a sibling who has a sibling with a special need. So we do meet about quarterly, and we've got a couple different groups started for that. We do provide Spanish language support, and we do assist with local support groups who are in our area. We do try to keep that list updated here in our office. And then we've got a lot of information. So we like to say that we have the vetted information, because there's lots of info out there on the internet, and sometimes it's not always the best information. So we have scoured through all of that muck that's out there, and we've tried to pull out those things that can be the most beneficial to families. And we're able to mail or email that information to families that request it. And then we also are able to provide referrals for that family to other agencies that maybe they can benefit from. We also have a book lending library that has videotapes, audio tapes, and books, and on all different types of topics. Parents and professionals can borrow those resources for 3 weeks at a time. And then for our children who are in the Early Start program, we have a toy lending library, and that is a library full of developmentally appropriate toys for ages birth to 36 months old. 2 toys can be checked out for 2 weeks. Currently, due to COVID, our office is closed, but maybe we can have a professional or make an appointment for a parent to come in and utilize the library if they need. It's kind of on depending on what the status of COVID is in our area, whether we can allow someone from the public to come in. We also, for our early start kiddos and families, we have what is called Tykes and Tunes, which is a musical play group, which is led by a certified musical therapist. And it shows how music can help enhance the development for their children. It's very interactive with the parent and child. We meet twice a month, and it's for children in the Early Start program. We are doing that virtually right now. So we do require registration, and we've only had it a couple times, and the families have had great fun. We do offer parent and professional work, so we do look at our workshops from a culturally sensitive and family-focused approach. Lots of different topics on our workshops, including special education rights and responsibilities, parenting a special needs child, financial estate planning, conservatorship, transition for adults, transition for Early Start program, and then other topics that might come along. During the year, we do have different events that we participate in. And due to COVID, I'm just going to do during our normal times, what we would do. We do have a holiday open house in December where we have families come into our office building and they can play games, see Santa, eat food, and just have fun. We are trying to work on something that we can do since we can't gather in large crowds. So be on the lookout for information on that coming soon. There's Retreat, which is a day just for moms and a day for them to be away from their families, to do networking, do some joint training, and just really know that they're in community together with other mothers. We participate in a lot of community events, health fairs, and we do a lot of outreach to other organizations. Again, to spread the word and to show the public how to look for the signs of someone who has a disability or special need and to help provide them with that support. We are active on lots of different professional and family collaboration committees, and I won't go into that. Just know that we're out there all the time. And one thing that's really important for you to know as a service coordinator is one of our special projects called the Healing Heart Society, and that is where we provide a family a $250 grant for their child who has passed away, who received service. They must have an active IFSP or IEP, and they must be sponsored by a community agency. So if someone on your caseload has passed away who is under the age of 22, we do have an application to fill out. So far, we've offered families, 127 families, those grants of $250, and all those funds are from donations from the community. We are a nonprofit. We do receive money from GDS, from VMRC, and First 5 San Joaquin, and other agencies. So we do accept donations that are tax deductible. And here is our contact information. We are in Stockton at the Sherwood Executive Center. Our office hours are Tuesday through Friday, 8:30 to 2:30, or as needed. At VMRC, at all the offices, there should be lots of our information cards, which are it shows what we do on the front is English and the back is Spanish. So we ask that you give those out to families. And I think that's it. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Lisa. Do we have any questions for Lisa? We do not see any questions here. Thank you very much, Lisa. We appreciate all the information. I'm sure that's going to be really useful for all the new hires. And there's information that's been shared in the chat box by Tony Anderson, so I'm sure that will prove beneficial. Thank you, Lisa.
All right, thank you.
So the next speaker that we have coming up is Dina Hernandez from SCDD North Valley Hills. So over to you, Lisa. Sorry, Dina.
That's okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Dina Hernandez. I'm sorry I'm not on screen. I woke up with a huge cold sore on my lip, and while it's close to Halloween, I didn't want to scare all of you. I guess I could have wore a mask. But anyway, I'm going to share my screen and go over some things with you real quickly. I just want to say welcome to VMRC, and also thank you to VMRC for including the Self-Advocacy Council 6, the Family Resource Network, and us. We used to be a regular series on these trainings, and the last one was 2011, so I'm very happy to be here. Are you able to see my screen? Are you seeing my, what's this one called? Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it, Dina.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start out just really briefly, just understanding the role of the State Council on Developmental Disabilities and its regional offices. And again, I want to thank you for having me. Just a little bit about myself. Been in the field about 35 plus years. Started out with a bachelor's degree from San Diego State and was a special ed teacher, and then moved on into the independent living center and living services in San Diego before I came back to Stockton, which was right about the time the Stockton Developmental Center closed, and was able to get on board with the then Area Board 6, which is now the North Valley Hills office of the State Council. So we are a state agency. So state councils they're in every state and US territory. They're federally funded. They have a state plan that identifies where they spend the money. Focus on empowering individuals through activities and teach self-advocacy skills and support self-determination through person-centered planning, and work on advancing public policy systems change to help gain more control over people's lives through legislation. So we're funded under the Administration for Community Living, the Office of Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, so the ACL, which administers programs through statutes, the Developmental Disabilities Act and Bill of Rights Act, known as the DD Act, the Older Americans Act, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and others. The Office of Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities is responsible for the programs authorized by that DD Act, and under that is the State Councils on Developmental Disabilities, simply known as councils. The State Protection and Advocacy System, and in our state of California, we have Disability Rights California, and our other partners are from the University Centers for Excellence in Developmental Disability, Education Research, and Service, known as the UCEDS. So kind of the role of the state councils was the purpose of the activities and work is to find out what Californians with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families need to be able to fully participate in their communities and to achieve self-determination, the ability to make choices, to be independent in their own communities, to be productive, to do things in their own communities, and to be included in their own communities. Just like all Americans, people with developmental disabilities are guaranteed the same full and equal opportunities for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. This also happens to be the State Council on Developmental Disabilities vision statement. So just a little bit more background. As I mentioned, that we're established by federal law, which is the DD Act, and we're also established in state law, which is the Lanterman Act, which Liz Diaz mentioned earlier was a wonderful, wonderful act that a group of parents got together and said we need to do better in California. So we are the only state in the nation with the Lanterman Act, which is why many people move here. Our definition of developmental disability does differ. The federal definition says it starts before the age of 22, that disability, and has to have one of the 3 limitations listed. And in California, the definition says it starts before the age of 18 and must have a significant disability with one or more of those diagnoses listed. I just want to put this slide up there to let you know our office is able to provide information referral to anyone regardless of what definition they fall under. The California State Council on Developmental Disabilities is not just our regional office. It's actually a council made up of 31 members, and at least 30 of those members are self-advocates or family advocates. They meet at least 6 times a year, and the council focuses on long-term solutions through systems change. The goal is to create self-sufficiency, self-determination, inclusion, and acceptance to those in our state. So there's agency voting members, the directors of their designee from the following agencies. I'm not going to read those. You'll see the logos on the bottom. And the other agency voting members are our 4 federal partners, which we mentioned, which is Disability Rights California, and then the executive directors of each of the 3 University Centers for Excellence on Developmental Disabilities. And then there's one non-governmental agency that also is able to vote, and that is currently the California Sibling Leadership Network. So the council works to get laws passed, and this is a photo of Governor Brown signing in the self-determination bill, which Liz spoke very well about, and how well VMRC is doing in getting this program going for all. So this is one of the things the State Council likes to do, as long also with the Employment First, which EJ's talked about. Also, the State Council was involved in that and getting our state to be an Employment First state. So the State Council has a state plan, 2017 to 2021. So we're just kind of winding down this 5-year plan, and a new one will begin. But the council and the regional offices work to meet these goals. So the state plan focuses on these 6 goal areas. Number 1 being self-advocacy, 2, employment, 3, housing, 4, health and safety, 5, early intervention and education, and 6, formal and informal community support. And we came up with those goals by asking people across the state what was most important to them and what did they or their loved one need. The councils utilize regional offices in California to meet the state plan goals. Because California is geographically and culturally diverse, the regional offices help assure people have a local voice to get info, resources, and support from. So as I mentioned, I'm from the SCDD North Valley Hills Regional Office, and we're located in Stockton. Our information is there, and our office covers the same 5 counties as the Self-Advocacy Council 6 and Family Resource Network, and of course Valley Mountain, Amador, Calaveras, Tuolumne, San Joaquin, and Stanislaus. And we engage and collaborate with Valley Mountain Regional Center. Along with our regional office, there's 11 other regional offices across the state. We start at the top of the state. The slides list the counties that those offices cover. And each of those offices engage with one of the 21 regional centers or more. So we work with Valley Mountain Regional Center, for example. Our Los Angeles, which is a very large county, works with 7 regional centers. I'm lucky we just work with 1. So what more of our regional offices do? So we help connect people to needed services and supports. So we provide information about rights training on many topics. We have come out and discussed things that are a need to families or to self-advocates at their request. We strive to improve services and supports. We review policies and practices and identify service needs that are not available, and we also monitor legislation. We help people become part of their communities. We encourage and assist various agencies and advocacy organizations to educate the public and provide a Choices Conference each year with our other community partners. We help people know about things. Sometimes things are complicated and confusing. We strive to make things in what's called plain language or easy for anyone to read, and also in a variety of languages. We gather ideas from the community. That's how we know what we should be focusing on and what we should be working on. And we help improve services and systems. We talk to people, we ask questions, we listen, and collaborate with others to figure out how to make things better. So all of that said, what the heck should you care about the State Council? So I just want to say, we're here as a resource for you during your career at VMRC, and we hope you do make it a career here at VMRC. You could call or email us if you have a question or a need, or you're just not sure of something or how you can support an individual or family. You could attend one of our many free trainings and share trainings info to those you support. Currently, right now, we have a lot of things on Zoom that are happening across the state. People don't have to travel to those trainings. And of course, anything the State Council does is free. We refer, you can refer an individual or a family to our office if they need help or information and you're just maybe not sure how to do that. And you can also check out the State Council's website and Facebook page to stay up to date on things that are going on around the state. So we are small but mighty. Our office is made up of just these 4 folks. So you've got me, Dina at the top, Chanel Murray, who's our community program specialist, and our basic state grant side. That's the money that we use, the federal and state monies to do those 6 goals. And then we have George Lewis, who's our community program specialist, and he runs our quality assurance project, which I didn't speak too much about, but it is a grant that we work with the Department of Developmental Services. And George and his team go out and interview folks that receive services from, he covers 3 regional centers, to see how things are working or not working. And then we have an office technician, Mary Jean Taken Regan, who would be the one, if you gave our office a call, who most likely will answer that call. And then just finally, I love this quote by Margaret Mead, since we are a small but mighty group. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. So I just want to say thank you. I know we probably don't have time for questions, but my information is there. I'm always available to answer any questions. Give us a call. And again, thank you. I hope you're here for a very long time. Thank you, Jesse and Tony, for inviting the State Council to participate today.
Thank you very much, Dina. That was really useful information, and I'm sure the new hires, it's going to prove beneficial for them. And you do have the details, and this event is being recorded. So if you ever need to reach out to Dina, please feel free to utilize the recording. And the information is also in the chat box. Christine put some information there. Thank you, Dina. So the next speaker that we have now is Corinne Seaton from CLASP, and she's going to be sharing information with us related to her area. Thank you.
Hello. So Dina is part of CLASP, so we get the pleasure of seeing her on a monthly basis, even through these COVID times. And she is humorous, so that's one of the perks of being a part of CLASP. It's been awesome. I've been part of CLASP for 5 years, and I just started being like the representative for United Cerebral Palsy, showing up, and it's definitely grown over the years. It's very collaborative. So we have vendors from care homes and day programs, supported employment programs, as well as other reps who just come to find out what's going on and perhaps provide some services to support the vendor community. But right now, I'd say it's the strongest ever. We have, I think we're upwards of more than 70 vendors who are members, and the membership is pretty inexpensive, $25 for the year. And when we meet in person, so pre-COVID times, we'd always have this wonderful coffee, and I'm sure we'll resume that when all this COVID stuff passes. And it's been awesome. And it's truly a testament to, I think I gotta say it has a lot to do with Tony. And I know we're here in like a supportive capacity in terms of supporting each other as vendors, because oftentimes you can feel that when you're working for an organization, you're kind of going it alone, and you're navigating these waters and legislation and trying to interpret it. And it's really nice to come together and realize there are other people who might have some different connections or different insights, and they're able to share that with you, and just to find some humor, some levity during the day. And it's really nice to be on, so now it's calls, right? So we're consistently on our monthly conference calls and navigating all the directives from DDS, and how do we move, and can we reopen, and even just to know, like early on, we were all stressed out. And to be able to say, okay, so I'm not the only one, or I'm not the only one who feels isolated or lost or confused about this process. So it really shows how strong the community is, because when you have those moments of, you can consider like weakness or greatest challenge, those will be the times when the strength of a group is truly tested. And to see how we've all united, and people being able to provide insights about Department of Public Health, or how their clients are responding during these times when our whole industry, our whole community has been just flipped upside down in many ways. And it's definitely, we're remaking what this whole community is going to look like. And so through this, just wading through these waters, it's excellent. And I know some people think, another monthly meeting that I have to go to, another $25, what's the use of it? But truly, it's more than that. It's about being plugged in when things are smooth, and you just that touch point, you just say, okay, so everything's solid, no significant changes. Or even I remember when Candace, who you probably haven't met yet, and Tony, and I think there were quite a few people who took their time to really guide us through the legislative changes that were happening. I would say that was like our hot button issues pre-COVID times, and be able to interpret it and what applies to us and which industry, and because it can be overwhelming. So sometimes to have different people filter the information. And I gotta say, especially with VMRC, knowing that we're so closely interconnected. So right now, the big thing is the rates and what that's gonna look like. And so, pins and needles, what's coming down the line with that. And even just to find out, okay, we checked in monthly and we don't know. Okay, breathe, we haven't missed anything. So to me, it's hot off the press information. And it might not so much apply to a lot of people who work for the regional center, but I think it's really nice for you to see the faces of the vendors. So you're looking really at the leaders who are on the other side of the client. So you deal primarily with the clients, with the families, but you have people who are in these leadership roles. So whether it be the owner of a care home or the executive director of a nonprofit organization, being able to see who's behind it and their thought process and their passion is really, to me, it always warms my heart to know that there are a lot of people out there who are very much of the giving mindset, caring, and highly intelligent, because as much as the heart matters, we also have to be able to think through some very challenging and difficult situations, especially given what we're going through right now. So in terms of our big thing, which is coming up, and Doug has been instrumental with all his technical know-how. So we have Vision 2020 and structured a little bit differently. So the committee decided, rather than having a sit in front of your computer at home all day, it's going to be broken up into multiple days. So it's a virtual learning series. And I'm pretty sure Tony has signed y'all up for it if you don't know already. So enjoy. And we have speakers from all throughout the US who are going to be dialing in. So rather than having to fly them in, it's not as costly, but it is something that CLASP is covering. And anyway, it'll be free for you because I'm sure he signed you up knowing Tony. So if any of you have questions about CLASP or, I don't know, anything you want to know, just ask.
Do we have any questions for Corinne? We don't see anything here. We appreciate all the information, Corinne, and okay, no more. Okay, no, I'm not seeing any. I was just looking at the chat box. No more questions. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming in here, taking out the time. It was a pleasure listening to you.
Thank you so much. And welcome aboard to all the VMRC people. You're working with a great group of people. I can definitely testify to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speakers for the day that we have are Sandra Graham, and we also had Mel, but she had to leave because she had some phone calls to attend to. So we have Sandra Graham from Disability Rights California, who's going to be presenting next. So over to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Jesse, and hello and welcome new staff members of Valley Mountain Regional Center. My name is Sandra Graham, and I am the Assistant Clients' Rights Advocate for the Office of Clients' Rights Advocacy, also known as OCRA. So you'll often hear us being called by our initials. And we also have our Clients' Rights Advocate, which Jesse just informed us that unfortunately had to step away for a phone call, but she is brand new to our office. This is about her 4th week in, so she's getting her feet quite wet with jumping into a lot of our cases, and so we're really happy to have her along, and would like to give you just a quick overview as to what OCRA is, but I'd also like to thank Tony and his team and VMRC, as always, for inviting us to be a part of this. We are very excited to be able to collaborate with VMRC and all of the other wonderful community agencies that you're hearing about today. So OCRA is one of 21 different OCRA offices that covers the same catchment areas that the 21 different regional centers in California covers. And our office covers basically the same counties that VMRC does: Amador, Tuolumne, Calaveras, San Joaquin, and Stanislaus. And we are part of Disability Rights California. They are our umbrella parent program, and we are just one of the many different units under Disability Rights California. And we specialize in being able to serve consumers of regional centers. So we help with protecting consumers' rights and helping consumers and their families with understanding their rights and any kind of legal advocacy services that they need. All of our services are free to our clients, and the different things that we can help with can include anything from just clients' rights issues, questions, to information about helping with notice of actions, which are notices that public benefits will give people as well as regional center, and they are basically notices that people receive, typically denying them what their request is, or telling them that they've got an overpayment for Social Security, or maybe it's telling them that their in-home supportive service hours are being cut back, or they're not being given those services. So likely a consumer will get that notice in the mail, and it'll have some information about the appeals process on there. And that's where we can come in and help. So every client has a right to appeal those decisions, and they can contact our office for that legal advice and help. And we also help the families of consumers who are minors get services. One thing I do want to make clear, though, is that our office only represents the consumer. So that is the person who is receiving services from Valley Mountain Regional Center. Now, we can provide information and referral to anybody. Anybody can call us and ask a question, and we can provide general information. But if it's specifically about a particular case or a particular person, we maintain very high privacy consideration for all of our clients, and we're only able to really directly help that person. Now, if that person gives us consent, we can talk to a family member, friend, service coordinator. We still have to get their consent to talk to you. Even though you may send us a referral, we still have to be able to make sure that we're adhering to that client's privacy. So we're not here to represent the family members. We're not here to represent service coordinators or other agencies. We're strictly here to assist the client and their needs, specifically in the legal advocacy arena. We also provide trainings. So anytime anybody is wanting to get more information about a specific topic, we provide trainings just overall, what is OCRA? We also provide trainings for self-advocates, specifically for the consumers of the regional center. And a lot of those trainings are really super fun. We do a self-advocacy bingo game. We also do clients' rights for self-advocates as well as non-self-advocates. And then we also do trainings for voting. And we've actually done a few trainings for voting this year, and other topics that might be of interest to a group of parents, maybe a parent support group, even staff with regional center that may want more specific information about maybe eligibility for in-home supportive services or other public benefits like Medi-Cal. We also assist with a lot of special education questions and needs, especially this time of year where we've got students heading back to the classroom, some students not heading back to the classroom yet, getting a lot of questions from parents in regards to their individualized education plan or IEP. A lot of information people are looking for could be about getting related services for their students, such as occupational therapy, speech therapy. Maybe they have missed a lot during this COVID time, and maybe they're regressing a little bit, and the parent may need some assistance from the school to provide compensatory education to make up for that time. So all of those situations are things that our office can help and advocate for. And we also can help advocate for other types of legal matters. While we do not advocate for conservatorships, if there is somebody who's conserved and does not want to be conserved anymore, that is something that we can help them with. We can also help them with alternatives to conservatorship. There are definitely a lot of other pathways that a person can take that is much less restrictive than being under a conservatorship. We also help with any kind of discrimination matters, any type of mental health issues. Maybe a person is in need of getting those services and they're having a problem being able to access those services. Maybe they're being told by behavioral health that we're not going to be able to serve you because you are part of VMRC, you have a developmental disability and not a mental health disability. So those kinds of issues will come up, and those are things that we're happy to take referrals for and assist with. We also help with clients' rights in regards to privacy. We have a lot of clients who live in group homes, who may live in other facilities, and there are a lot of issues that can stem around their rights being able to access certain household things, such as the telephone, such as maybe having access to the kitchen, or maybe they're having problems with privacy. Maybe they're unable to make phone calls or video calls without feeling like somebody's kind of hovering over them or watching them. So it's those kinds of issues that we can help the clients directly with, and also be able to point them to resources that might help support the needs that they have. any kind of services that they are looking for to get from the regional center. We're also here to help them advocate for those services if they happen to get a denial for any kind of a service that they're looking for from the regional center. Again, that is another piece that we can help with as far as helping them prepare for an appeal, prepare for the due process hearing, any kind of legal issues that they may be having in other parts of their life. While we do not practice all areas of law, such as family law or criminal law, we can certainly be able to give them the resources that will help them further those supports that they're looking for that our office may not be able to handle directly. So some of the other things that we can provide in regards to our services is, again, just general information for anybody, but we can also, kind of help do a little bit of legal research for people if they're looking, maybe they've been given some paperwork and they're just kind of not sure if it's something that they need to sign. We can always tell them what their rights are in those kinds of situations and provide them with, advice and counsel for whatever it is that they're looking for. Again, like I said, we don't do criminal law, we don't do family law. So those kinds of things we would refer out to. But most of the other issues, we're pretty much able to try and help a person directly. We may not be able to actually represent them at hearings all the time, and we can't help everyone with every problem, but we certainly do try and at least give them enough support and information to help them on their way to resolving whatever that issue is. So one of the things that we collaborate with VMRC on is the Behavioral Modification Review Committee, and that is something that is a combination between OCRA and VMRC staff, and we meet monthly and we review different types of requests for types of devices or even behavior plans that may involve the possibility of the device being able to be used as a restraint. So we're always about the least restrictive environment. And so this BMRC review committee will meet once a month, and you are able to send us referrals for any of your consumers who are maybe in need of something that will help them stay safe in the car, such as an Easy-On vest. Those are things that we see a lot of. We see a lot of strollers because of elopement and lack of safety awareness issues. And so any kind of device that could be used as a restrictive device or be used in a way that could cause any kind of possible harm or trauma, those are things that we look at that review committee. And so that is another thing that we participate in regularly with VMRC, and we're really happy to be able to do that and collaborate with VMRC just to make sure that the consumers are getting the appropriate support and services that are the least restrictive for them. I have our information. I'm going to put it in our chat box so then that way you have access to our emails. Again, I am Sandra Graham. I'm the Assistant Clients' Rights Advocate, and Armel Gay, she is our Clients' Rights Advocate, and you can call us at our office number, which is 209-242-2127. And then I also encourage you to check out our website, which is disabilityrightsca.org. There we have just a wealth of library of information, of publications on just about any topic you can think of. So I encourage you to visit that website if you're looking for any kind of information about special education, voting rights, in-home supportive services, regional center services, special education, and just so much more. So we actually use that website a lot for our own information and support for our clients. And then on the screen, you have our wonderful brochure. And so that gives you an overview of what the services are and how we determine whether or not if it's something that we can help with. So basically, we look at the merits of the case, whether or not the family or the consumer is able to advocate for themselves, and whether or not our office has the resources available to be able to take on a case that may, include a lot of research and a lot of time. So we do have to take that into consideration. person. But for the most part, we're here to help. For any questions, you can always call us. You can always email us a referral. You can always call and ask a question, but typically we're going to say, hey, just send us a referral and we'll look into it and we'll try to do what we can in order to help that particular person. So feel free to reach out to us with any questions at any time, and we're happy to be here to help and support you in your role as a service coordinator serving your consumers. And thank you.
Hey, Sandy, can I just, can I ask Armel to introduce herself as our new clients' rights advocate? I see that she's back on.
Oh, is she back? Great.
Armel,
I didn't
you introduce
see.
yourself?
Absolutely.
Hello, my name is Armel, and I am the new clients' rights advocate serving consumers of the VMRC. I am an attorney, and I have a Juris Doctor from Lewis and Clark. I have a little bit of a background working with people with disabilities. I worked for a nonprofit in San Francisco where we defended tenants that were facing unfair eviction proceedings. And that's when I became aware that people living with disabilities were often the targets of unfair eviction practices. I also worked for a USAID project in my native country of the Ivory Coast. And one of the part of the project was to do trainings with actors of the justice system and to raise awareness about the different challenges that people living with disabilities face when they try to go through the criminal justice systems, because oftentimes they do not have reasonable accommodations that are available. So my work at OCRA is that I am the advocate for the consumers that, and so what we do is oftentimes if they go to the VMRC to seek a service and they are unable to get it, or if they get a service that they think is inadequate, they would come to us and they would be like, here, we have this denial of service, and how can you help us to get this service? So ideally, what we would like to do is to really be just a different side of the coin of what VMRC do, and to focus on the client and what the client's needs are in order to provide them with the most adequate and the better suited services. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Armel and Sandra. And we're glad that, Armel, you were able to make it. That was very useful information, and we appreciate you taking out time and being with us. All right, so it's time for a surprise now. It's time for the last question for the Starbucks lucky draw. I did inform you there are going to be 3 questions, but I mentioned about a surprise. Now, this is the surprise question here. If you see it in the chat box, it's been posted by Doug. And what's beautiful about it is that there is no time limit for it, but yes, your answers need to come in before we we conclude with the session of the Zoom meeting. And then there's no word limit to it either. So let me just quickly read it out to you. Say something good to VMRC team in a few words to lift their spirits and spread positivity. And we plan to share it with our VMRC family for all to appreciate the thoughts that come from our new hires and participants. And let's spread some cheer during the holiday season that's forthcoming. So feel free to write as much as you want till this meeting finishes. No word limit, and the time limit is till the end of the meeting. Now, we had the last speaker for the day as Heather Santos from Disability Resource Agency for Independent Living, but due to some reasons, she wasn't able to make it, and Dina's going to be sharing some information on her behalf. So I'm going to request Dina to take over, please.
Okay, gosh, me again with the cold sore lip. Okay, Heather Santos is the Executive Director of Disability Resource Agency for Independent Living, and for short, it's DRAIL. Their office is currently moving from upstairs in their building to downstairs, and they're also assisting with the PG&E shutoff, so that's why she couldn't be here today. They also are helping us send out personal protective equipment, also known as PPE, to their 6 counties they cover. They cover our 5 counties, but they also cover Madera County. So there's an independent living center all across the state. They're funded through the Department of Rehabilitation. They also have different grants, such as the one from PG&E to help with having equipment such as batteries or things that anyone might need that are living on their own and the PG&E shuts off. It's a large grant that they've recently received. They have an office in Modesto. That's their headquarters that is moving, and they're going to have a community center as they're coming upon celebrating their 35th year as an organization. And there will be invites sent out to all once that is safe to do so. They also have an office in Stockton, and they also have an office up in Sonora to cover the mountain counties. They are a cross-disability organization, so they work with folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities and with anyone else who identifies as having a disability. You don't have to prove your disability. If there's a resource or information they can share with you, they're happy to do so. They are one of our community partners that has gotten involved with all of us over the last couple of years. As I mentioned, Heather's the new executive director, and they're just put together their strategic plan to kind of get DRAIL's name out there and to be a resource to all of you new staff at VMRC. So hopefully you'll get an opportunity to meet them. They also have a piece where they help folks who are trying to find employment, to talk about benefits counseling, what it means if you're working and how that could impact your resources such as IHSS or SSI. So most of the staff are folks with visible disabilities or non-visible disabilities, and they have a peer advocacy group that also is starting a support group that they've started on Zoom for self-advocates to come together from across our county. I think that is all I can say about that. I am a board member on DRAIL, and I used to work for them way back when, and they are really trying to get their name out there and be a resource to everyone. So hopefully you'll get a chance to meet Heather at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dina, for sharing on behalf of Heather. I would like to thank all the speakers for their valuable presentations. And in case of any queries or follow-up information, I would encourage the new hires to feel free to communicate with the speakers, and I'm sure they would be more than happy to assist. Hope you all found today's session useful and informative. We look forward to your feedback via survey that I shall be sending you soon. Feel free to provide us with suggestions, as that helps us improve upon the quality of our work. I'd just like to mention that organizing this event at such a large scale with about 30 speakers and 40 plus new hires, it seemed like a colossal task. When Tony said we need to organize something like this, I was actually feeling, maybe, we're not going to be able to do it. But I'm so amazed, and let me, I really have to say this event would not have been possible without all of you, for that matter, all the speakers, all the panelists, and all the new hires. Thank you very much for all the support, and I truly appreciate you taking out the time and presenting all the important information, sharing it with the new hires. So before we conclude today's webinar, I would request Mr. Tony Anderson to say a few words and concluding remarks. So over to you, Tony.
Thank you so much, Jesse. And let's hear it for Jesse. That was amazing. That was a huge test. She just started as our training manager, and I just plopped this big, huge, very ambitious task in front of her. And I just felt that, this COVID thing, we just cannot let this hold us down. Whatever we would have done before, we'll figure out if we can still do them and the different way that we can do them. And onboarding and introducing our new staff to the culture and our community is so critically important. And it was really sad that we hadn't done it. And so we just said, let's just do everything we can to make it work. And I am so energized to have met all of you. And I am extremely appreciative of all of our speakers who blocked out some time and talked about the things that are so dear to them and the things that their roles in supporting all of us. So I just want to again thank Jesse. I know Doug did an amazing job too in the background there, and the Claire yesterday and today with with Christine with all of the extra information. So many great participants. And again, thank you all and welcome to you all. And I can't wait to see the amazing things that you do here at Valley Mountain Regional Center. So thank you all.
Right. Do we have any comments? If there are any comments, please feel free to put it in the chat. And thank you very much. It was a pleasure having all of you.